This is my brother Jochen and my brother Tristan, and we are going to be reviewing the manipulation of Torben Sondergaard, where he is lying to get U.S. citizenship, lying to U.S. immigration, and trying to play the immigration system in the United States in order to get the body of Christ to finance U.S. citizenship for his entire family. We are going to be discussing also how he's faking persecution and shaming Christ by pretending he was arrested for the cause of Christ when he was really arrested for overstaying while he was here on a visa waiver. We are going to read in detail now what we are going to be covering in this video.
In this video, we will provide proof for the following statements. Torben is not being persecuted by his government, but his government and local agencies are merely following standard procedure to do follow-up investigations after receiving tip-offs and complaints by regular citizens who don't like Torben. The proof of this is that Torben was never fined or arrested by these agencies, and the Danish media who misrepresented him even apologized according to CBN. Therefore, Torben should be blaming citizens who are reporting him, not his government or government agencies for so-called persecution when they are just doing their job. Torben filed for asylum to obtain US citizenship and not out of necessity for his or his family's safety. Torben Sondergaard purposely invented a storyline that he did not understand why he was in prison to play the victim and to pretend to be a persecuted saint when his wife and social media statements on his Facebook reflect that him and his team had full understanding of why he was in jail. Torben Sondergaard lied to the US government by entering as a visitor on a visa waiver while it was clear that Torben was never planning to leave the country. This became evident as Torben was using social media to reach out to potential businessmen and politicians that follow his ministry to teach him any way to remain in the States before ever changing his status to an asylum seeker. Torben admits with his own mouth that seeking asylum was a last resort as a method to gain US citizenship. This made it clear that he was not a true asylum seeker, but just a man playing the US immigration laws. Torben claims himself that he had a meeting with his staff and they decided to choose the route of asylum seeker when they realized nothing else would work. After Torben changed his status to asylum seeker, his demeanor changed on social media as he started crisis acting on CBN and playing the victim on his YouTube channel. When Torben first entered the USA, while he still thought he would be able to utilize other methods to gain US citizenship, he did not appear as a devastated asylum-seeking victim, but he appeared as a positive, happy traveler enjoying his arrival to the USA. Torben's fears for his life and fears of losing his family are not based on logic, as there really is no danger of his children being taken from him at all. His children are basically adults. They are not 4 years old, and no agency at any time even made the first steps towards harming Torben or his family, nor has there been any evidence provided by Torben to validate his level of paranoia.
Okay, everybody. The reason I wanted to have all that laid out up front is because we are going to prove every statement. Many Torben followers say we don't give proof. That's a lie. We give proof in every video. But we are outlining specific statements, and I'm going to be pointing out to you throughout this video when we proved our statement, as you hear the words out of Torben's mouth, out of the mouth of his followers, and from the website his own wife created, and multiple other YouTube videos where he has people talking about him on his channel, where he's created this confusing debauchery, this bowl of soup of all different lies, half-truths, manipulations at different times to create this debauchery where he seems to be a persecuted saint, when really this is just made out of smoke. There's no real substance to it. He just concocted it himself. Now, under Section 214 of the Immigration and Nationality Act, applicants are presumed to be intending immigrants unless they credibly demonstrate to the consular officer's satisfaction that their economic, family, and social ties outside the U.S. are strong enough that they will depart at the end of their authorized stay and their intended activities in the United States will be consistent with the visa status. Torben Sondergaard broke the law over here. He came here on a visa waiver. That is what people get when they're coming as a visitor. Yet it's clear just days after he arrived, and we're going to show you that he never really wanted to leave the country and that he planned to do a lot of ministry work here. And as the entitled child that he is, he did anything he could to try and get other people to help him stay here through different channels like work visas, different other means. And when that failed, he then all of a sudden decided to be a victim in his country and overblow the things. He overblew little things that happened in his country to fake persecution so he could seek asylum here. Because his other efforts didn't work to try and become a U.S. citizen. Why was he first trying to seek other avenues? Because he wanted the ability to still go back to Europe and other places, and asylum limits that if he claimed asylum here. He wouldn't be able to return to certain places. The laws are different for that. So he wanted rich people to help him. He wanted to get a work visa. He wanted someone just to come and give him $2 million or whatever it costs to just come in to be a citizen overnight. But when that failed, poof, overnight, we have an asylum seeker and a victim of his country's government. Let's see what he says. Now, these videos are in chronological order, so you could watch the progression of how he changed his demeanor as he played the system in the United States. Here, below all of the videos, you see the name that he titled it on his YouTube channel and the date that he posted it. So you have chronological order, so no one could say that they don't get it anymore. We've done all the work for you. I've had people spend hours putting this stuff in order for everybody.
So what is the truth here? I am in America right now. That is the truth. We actually went to America to, I have a Kickstarter in Dallas next week. And we have our event in Canada in April.
Hey, why isn't he talking about his life being in danger? He just got here. What's he talking about? CBN said he flew to the U.S. with just a shirt on his back and a little stick and a little pack on the stick with his family. Why isn't he? He's not talking about. I thought his life was in danger.
He's got a speaking engagement in Dallas.
Yeah, he showed up to do ministry.
And we then thought about going home and then come here later.
What, you thought about going back home already? You've only how long's he been in the States at this point? Like a week or something? Something like, do you know? 3 days. 3 days or something. He already just said he thought about going back home before he came here.
To war-torn Denmark in persecution.
Yeah, to the place where his family is in danger. So you wanted proof. There you have it, Sondergaard followers, that his life isn't in danger. Do you think about going back to a place where your life is in danger? I know I don't. So just 5 seconds in, there's your proof. Let's keep going. We got hours of proof for you.
And we then thought about going home and then come here later. And we then thought about going home and then come here later.
Mind you, this was when he first came. The time that all the organizations are saying he fled here. That just happened 3 days before what he's sitting there right now.
And then out of that, see what happened. But we feel because of all the persecution in Denmark and many things, we're not going home right now. We are staying in America right now and see what is happening.
So now, after he said, we thought about going home, but no, because of all the persecution, does that sound like real persecution?
No, not at all.
nothing
And for
compared
us to come
what
to America
real persecution is.
and Canada, and we will also maybe come to Australia, and Canada, and we will also maybe come to Australia.
So now he's talking about, mind you again, CBN, his wife's website, all of them said he came here to flee vicious Denmark. Now it sounds like he's just coming as a traveler, blowing in the wind. But it's clear he doesn't want to leave even at this point. Even at this point, it's clear he doesn't want to leave America to go to Canada. He's sitting in sunny Florida. He doesn't want to go to Canada. And you're going to see in the next video, he immediately starts talking about, oh, I'm going to do the Canada Kickstarts or whatever they're called from Skype, I decided. Just like a week after. It's so funny how the progression rapidly went to where this guy is not going anywhere but staying in the U.S.
And Canada, and we will also maybe come to Australia.
Okay, so here we go. Let's look at the chart. This is manipulation chart A. Torben originally intended to file asylum upon entry with a visa waiver. Torben's YouTube videos when he first arrived say no. CBN's video starring Torben says yes. Torben in his Why Am I in Jail video says yes. Torben's wife on the Friends of Torben website says yes. Torben's representative 1 day ago, or 2 days ago, within the last 2 or 3 days, says no. Why does Torben and his representative have to say no? Because that's illegal, what he's doing. That's illegal. So Torben has to put on this act like as if, I didn't come here and originally intend to seek asylum, because then it would be made manifest he lied upon entry on his visa waiver to the U.S. government. So he can't have that. But then when CBN is trying to glorify his story, he allows CBN, Torben, who starred in the video, allowed them to broadcast that he fled with only the shirt on his back in fear and lie. And does this look like he's afraid while filming this video? Or does this look like a guy that's happy to be in the States and he's ready to travel all around the world possibly, or possibly stay?
It's in many ways a dream come true, because in long time I want.
This is a dream come true, guys.
Yeah.
Fleeing to the U.S. as a refugee is a dream come true.
Yeah, I wanted to do it. I don't want to be stuck on a center. I want to travel. I want to live the life.
He doesn't want to be stuck in a center. We're going to show you that he went and asked for $2 million for a center in North Carolina just months later.
And I want to
More lies by Torben Sondergaard. The lies just never stop with this guy.
to do things.
Go ahead. Tell me I'm not proving it, people. Did you hear what he just said, Torben follower? He doesn't want to have a big center. He doesn't want to be stuck. What was the whole North Carolina scam?
It's
But
different.
he wants to travel and live his life. That's what he said after.
Yeah, Tris, he wants to live the life, the jet setting, traveling all over the place, discipling no one, showing up, slamming people underwater, thrashing them around in a pool like a shark, singing da-da-da-da-da, collect their money and do it again. He wants to live the life. He wants to be in Florida, waterfront in Florida, and in California in the hills.
He would say it's living the Book of Acts, but what he actually means is the American dream.
That's right. He wants to live the American dream. He wants to be a miniature Donald Trump. He wants to be in the Palm Beach area. He wants to be rubbing shoulders with rich people, doing his baptisms in their jacuzzis, and then collecting 50 grand at the door when they shake hands, when they walk away.
And
Yeah,
God had
what
been
is
speaking
really in his heart came out of his mouth.
Right. He's saying it's a dream of his to try. And I know people that know him a long time, a very long time, from Denmark. And they told me this guy always dreamed of traveling around the USA all his life. And in this video, you're going to hear him admit that it was his dream to come here and do this before he even started the Jesus Center in Denmark. It's funny that when persecution came, he ran here and claimed asylum right where he always wanted to come. The asylum certainly fit in. The asylum claiming in the persecution certainly fit in with his dream future for him and his family.
Right. A lot about many things the last 1.5 years. I actually started 1.5 years, and now because of the storm, we are being pushed out in it a little far.
Because of the storm. Now, throughout this whole video, you're going to hear very vague, manipulative terminology coming out of Torben. Like the storm and the persecution and people called me and laws were passed, when really all of it is just a bunch of junk. There's no solid evidence for any of it, but I just want you to take notice at this point, early on, how vague and manipulative he is when he articulates himself.
Faster than we expected. So right now, what I can say is that we are in America right now. I'm in Florida right now. We will stay in America a few months now, until beginning of April, where we're going to Canada.
So here he said he's going to Canada. He never went. This is what he has to do to pretend like he didn't come here to stay permanently. He has to pretend and prove to our government that he had a ticket flying back out for them to even let him in. They won't let him in unless he proves he has a ticket flying back out. So that's what this monkey business is. But really, you'll see in the next video, in 1 or 2 weeks, this changes immediately. He's never going to Canada. But at this point, you could see he wants to stay in the States, but he's saying, I'm going to go to Canada, but he doesn't seem like, it seems fake.
So right now, what I can say is that we are in America right now. I'm in Florida right now. We will stay in America a few months now, until beginning of April, where we're going to Canada. So right now, what I can say is that we are in America right now. I'm in Florida right now. We will stay in America a few months now, until beginning of April, where we're going to Canada. And then I don't know more. Where will we stay in America? I actually don't know. We are in Florida right now. I'm going to Dallas in a week to do a kickstart in Dallas. And then I don't know. We are here with my family and some suitcases.
If anyone has a house out there, by the way, we don't have anywhere to stay, you know?
Right. Then he gets 20 people offering him a house out of all his followers, and he just picks the richest person and goes there.
Right. That is our life right now here. The people are going good with the center at home, and there still is a school that's coming.
The people are going good with the center at home, even though it's closing down, and he fled there after just being there 8 months. He stayed in an 80,000 square foot center for 7 months, got on a plane, left everyone there high and dry. The people are going good there now, everybody. Even though just a few weeks later, a few months later, he tells everyone it's closed down.
In there. But right now, what I'm going to do is I'm in America, and I will see what will happen. We know God wants us to work more in America. We are looking at this.
What just happened? Now all of a sudden it looks like, what is he doing here? He just said he was going to Canada. Now he's like, let's hear that again. All of a sudden it looks like, wink, wink, followers, help me stay in America. Wink, wink.
What I'm going to do is I'm in America, and I will see what will happen. We know.
What does that mean? I'm in America, and I will see what will happen. I will see what will happen, everybody. Call me, rich people. Help me stay. Wink, wink. That's why I came.
Yeah.
No, God wants us to work more.
He name drops God, because then you can do God's work by help.
Right, God has things for him to do. So if you come and if you're a politician or a rich person and you can know somebody in the government that could help him stay, you just did a mighty work for God. A mighty, mighty work for God.
We are looking at different options to get some paperwork.
Why is he looking at different options? I thought he was going to Canada. Which one's true, Sondergaard follower? Is this not evidence he really doesn't want to go to Canada, Sondergaard follower? I know when I want to go somewhere, I'm not talking about staying somewhere else.
Especially if you've got no money as an asylum seeker.
Yeah. Not only does he want to stay in the U.S., he's acting like he's just there with no money, nowhere to live. how entitled this child is. Hi, I'm in the US and I want to live here, but I have no money and no house. But that means nothing. God is bigger than that, because I want to be a freeloader and I don't want to work with my hands, so you need to give me a house.
In order so we can stay here longer.
So we can stay here longer? Do you want to go to Canada or not, Torben? You liar and deceiver. Do you want to go? Let's hear that again.
Stay here longer.
He wants to stay here longer than the 2 months. But Canada.
We are looking at different options to get some paperwork in order so we can stay here longer.
Okay, we just proved to you that asylum was just an option and one of the many angles he could have played. We just proved it. Don't tell me I didn't prove it to you, you stupid Sondergaard followers. I want you to listen to this again. Listen again, Sondergaard follower. Not my words, his words.
We are looking at different options to get some paperwork in order so we can stay here longer.
Different options. At this point, no mention of asylum. Because at this point, he just wanted a rich person to help him. He wanted some wealthy Americans to teach him how to stay here, because that's how entitled this man is. He thinks he's above the U.S. government. He thinks he has so many rich friends that he could just do whatever he wants. That's the real fact of the matter.
He was hoping someone would buy him a green card.
Yeah, he wants someone to buy him a green card. And that's what all that little wink wink, that little Jezebel-style manipulation is in these videos.
We are looking at different options to get some paperwork in order so we can stay here longer. We are looking at different options to get some paperwork in order so we...
So why is he looking at different options? Why is claim asylum the thing he waited on to do when he, right before he had to come back and leave? Right before his visa waiver was going to expire? Or they actually claimed that the visa waiver was just canceled or whatever, which I don't even know. It's irrelevant. They're just making up lies at this point. But why was claim asylum not the option at this point? Again, I will mention it, because if he claimed asylum, he would never be able to go back to Denmark and see family, friends, people he knew there. He didn't want to be limited. If he had a choice, when he came in, the point is when he came in, he didn't want to leave the U.S. The point is when he came in, he had the intention to stay in the U.S. Now, also, he wanted one of these other options other than asylum to come through so he could have his cake and eat it too. He wants to have his cake and eat it too. He wants to become a U.S. citizen, but he doesn't want to pull the asylum card yet. That's a last resort. Just last resort.
Until then, maybe we should fly out and in.
What? Maybe you should fly out and in? I thought you were going to Canada. Why do you want to stay in the U.S. so much? You just said you wanted to go to Canada, and that's one of the options on his wheel. Look, it's right here. You spin the wheel, maybe fly in and out is an option to stay in the USA. Anything to stay in the USA. So now, Torben Sondergaard follower, tell me I didn't prove within 3 days of him being here that his intent was to stay in the USA. Tell me that, you foolish Sondergaard follower, that we did not just prove that his intent 3 days after he landed in this country was to stay here. Which, guess what that means? He lied to our government. He came in on a visa waiver pretending to be a tourist and just planned on staying here and running ministry here and collecting money from rich Americans that love the charismatic movement. That's the goal. To travel the USA with his family like some make-believe cowboy and collect everybody's money and move on or to the next state or whatever and do it again and again and again and again.
Until then, maybe we should fly out and in. Until then, maybe we should fly out and in. Until then, maybe we should fly out and in. Until then, maybe we should fly out and in.
Sounds like someone looking to play the system. Because when you fly in and out, that's how you could stay in the States the longest. So you have your certain limit, and then you come right back, and you try to play the system so you could stay in the USA as long as possible.
And I was in America, and
here's the next video in chronological order. Now we're going to see Canada is coming off the table rapidly, even by his own confession. And really, guys, it's only, let's see, this is January 31, 2019. Here's February. It's about a month later about. So we're about a month later here, and we're watching the progression of the con start to unravel. Here we go.
And I was in America, and at that time I was here, we got the school in Denmark, we got the Jesus Center. It was not us.
Wow, he looks pretty happy. Does he look like a asylum seeker?
He looks so traumatized.
Yeah, he looks like he just fled Nazi Denmark. Look at him.
And I was in America, and at that time I was here, we got the school in Denmark, we got the Jesus Center. It was not us, Lars from Ness, who bought it, it was our friend Peter who bought it, and he rented it out to us. And
funny, when you presented it, you acted like it was yours when you first presented it. Now that it failed, someone else owned it.
He bought that center, and he rented the center out to us. And I wanted to help start the center. My heart is not to work with the center for years.
That's because you're not fit to screw in a light bulb or start anything. Because nothing is easy to start. You don't just start an 80,000 square foot center and get up and leave. So those of you who invested money in this imbecile, imagine giving this guy millions of dollars and he only expects to stay in these big facilities for like 8 months and then just dump some people there that he just met that flew in to help him or whatever, and he rides off into the sunset.
My heart is to start things and then move on.
His heart's to start things and never finish them. When someone says my heart is to start things and move on, well, my heart is to start things, finish them, and stay there and watch them succeed. That's my heart.
I want to be out on the road. I want to lay a foundation. I want to build.
You want no accountability. You don't want to disciple. This is what I hear when I want to be out on the road. All that I hear as a pastor is I want no accountability. I don't want to disciple anybody. I don't want to be literally sitting there where other people can see the way I live for too long or kind of like read my scam. I want to show them only a part of my scam, then I want to move somewhere else and continue my scam. Because people that are not able to stay put are deceivers. They don't want someone to see the pattern of how they live. The pattern.
And also, when he doesn't get fun, he wants the option to just disappear and go somewhere else where it is fun.
Right. And guess when it doesn't become fun? After you go in and collect the initial surge of money. When you first show up and people haven't seen you and you're in a new city, you get them on the first and second day, they're so happy they never saw you before. They don't really see how you're living, but they think you're a man of God, so they give you money. But then when you got to stay there day 3, 4, 5, 2 weeks later, 2 months later, the money isn't there anymore because you've already taken it all. So you got to go get it somewhere else.
And then I want to move to the next place. This is our heart.
His heart's to move and move and move and move and move.
But we got the center and we put out the dream about going to America. And
so he got the center. When he got the center, he already had the dream of going to America. Did you hear what he just said?
The dream about going. And we put out the dream about going to America. But we got the center and we put out the dream about going to America.
Sounded like he wanted to go to America, and then some guy came up and let him use that center, and his eyes were bigger than his stomach, and he was like, this is amazing. Look at all these buildings. This is great. But his heart was to go run to America. Do you understand what I'm saying? Even from before, these are his words. I'm not making this up. He just said it.
And we felt like, okay, let's focus on the center now. Let's focus on getting the center up running.
So there he said it. We had a dream to go to America, but we were like, let's get the center up and running. Now, if someone really wants to go to America, are they really going to give it a good effort to get the center up and running? Or when things get hard, are they just going to drop everything and run to America?
So
God, people, he's telling you his intent. You're not listening. It's coming out of he's telling you where his mind is, and you people are too stupid to listen.
Tinder can run independent on
that. He wants to network, like in the body of Christ, and get everybody else to do what he wants, so that it's up and running, so that then he can go somewhere else and do the same thing and leave everybody to do the work that he never did in the first place.
Right.
And take the credit.
Yeah, he didn't want to rip the floors up, and he was asking for other people to rip the floors up, clean the bathrooms. He won't lay his hand to anything. He's too high, and he's the
idea of something, and then goes, "Oh, that guy can do it. That person can do it. We need people to come. Are you
right?
skilled? Then come and do it for free. I'm just going to go over here. See
right.
later."
And it works because he's got charisma, and he's convinced people that he's the leader. He's the movie star. So in this generation, in this fake generation of YouTube, this clown show can work.
So I can move on and start other centers and help start up other places. That was some.
Well, it started so many. There's not one in existence today. What a glorious plan you have. How many are running, guys? 0.
Literally nothing. Yeah.
0 are running. After this fake presentation with this smiley con man, telling all his donators, one after another, I go in, I start them, I leave, I go in, I start them. Well, Torben follower, has that plan worked at any point in time?
This guy has not a pastor's heart. He's moving around like a locust.
Yeah, exactly. He's got a carnival like a clown park. The carnival moves around, you move the tent, you bring the elephants, you bring the donkeys into town. Now, I'm not saying there's not a role of a traveling evangelist. There is. But in the age of the internet, in the age where you could get information out, it's not like it was in the days of Paul. I don't need to travel to Germany to start a ministry in Germany. That's just jet setting half the time. Maybe once every few years the leader has to go there, but he can have a disciple talk to them at night on Skype, not waste ministry money flying. This guy doesn't think like that. This guy just wants to keep moving.
By his own confession, he's not an apostle either, because an apostle will literally plant a church and was sent to do that. And he's saying he's being sent to do such things, but then months later, if that, they don't even exist anymore, and he's, doing the rounds.
This is what he is. He's a traveling evangelist taking the role of a pope.
Exactly.
He's got a gifting to evangelize, he's got charisma, and he's taken the role of a businessman, a church planter, a pope, things that he can't do. He can't do any of them. He's not an apostle because he can't do both. An apostle could do both. They could travel and minister and plant the church and stay still.
Right.
A guy that can't do both is not at rest, not the leader of any reformation. This guy didn't even know Christians had demons in their body until like 5 years ago. Literally over half of his ministry, he was delusional, not even casting out demons. Then he figured out they were in Christians, and then he used it as part of his, advertising of his ministry. I remember watching him. I was casting out demons like 5 years before he ever even spoke to a demon. And I used to watch him and say to myself, he doesn't even know what's in him, let alone other people. And he's calling himself the head of the last Reformation. And I gave him the benefit of the doubt because he was preaching repentance. But then as I listened to his teachings, I realized he doesn't believe in a prolonged deliverance, so he doesn't know anything. Because if you think deliverance is only 15 minutes and just pray and then go renew your mind, you're literally a novice, not the leader of anything. He doesn't understand that water baptism is not for the putting away of the flesh, but the answer of a good conscience toward God, like the Bible says. He claims it puts away the old man. Now, I know when you get water baptized with your will, you're supposed to die to your sins. But that doesn't make the flesh disappear. That doesn't kill off the old man. You're just dying to your old self with your will at that point, with your heart and with your mind. It doesn't make it vanish. It's a modified identity teaching doctrine this guy teaches.
Absolutely.
It's a little more true because he will cast out the demons and actually talk to them and acknowledge that they're there. He's just one step removed from Todd White and Dan Mohler and Pete Cabrera. And Pete Cabrera is literally a drooling imbecile who could barely talk. So I don't want to even lump him in with those guys because they're actually good manipulators. Pete Cabrera literally has become just a beggar of money and a laughing stock. So.
How the idea. So we started this year with the school. Last year was it with the schools in Denmark, and it was really, really beautiful. And there was a new teen school where I really spent a lot of time. My family spent a lot of time on the schools to build a strong team, and it was really beautiful. And we are still in contact with most of the students on the school today. And 10 of the students is now helping on this school. So I really saw how we managed to build a strong team.
Well, you're the only one that sees it. Tell one of your members of your strong team to come and defend you. We will get 3 of the members of your team to sit down with 3 of us, and we'll see how strong your team is. I guarantee you they're all as biblically illiterate as you. You only know like one book in the Bible, maybe half the New Testament. You probably never even opened the Old Testament in your entire life. You don't know what's going on. So where's your team, Torben?
Oh, and I started to dream about, got the idea, maybe I can move on. Maybe it's time to move on. Maybe the school can run without me.
Another dream. All of them point the same direction.
Without me. And we shared at the staff at home that the idea that we would be gone maybe 5 months this year, and if they were able to keep everything running.
He acts like he shared it with them, and he checked with them. Like they have a say whether he comes or goes.
And people was excited about that, and I thought, yes, it's fine.
So that's a lie. And it's clearly a lie. And anyone watching you could see you're lying. Look at this liar.
Yeah, and if they were able to keep everything running, and people was excited about that, and I thought, yes, it's fine.
Does that look like a liar? Yeah. He went to them, asked them if he could abandon them, and they were like, it's fine. Because that's what people say, right? When they want, like when they're okay with the pastor just leaving them high and dry, or the head preacher that's running everything, just,
so I started to dream of,
hey guys, I'm out of here. It's fine.
Those people put months of their life, hard work, sacrificed money, probably time, obviously, and now he's going, yeah, I'm just off now. I'm being persecuted. See you later.
Right.
Yeah, it's fine.
They're all happy.
Really? Just leaving them to it.
That's it. The Pope has spoken. He's got somewhere to go.
Right.
It's time to move on. It's time to give the...
This is his witchcraft. When he wants to convince his movement that he's doing the right thing, he repeats it, the manipulating demon. It's good, it's right, it's good, it's time, it's right. So by the time the morons are done watching this guy, they've heard it's good like so many times, they're like, it's good, it is good. Torben's right, it's good.
That's what they will do. It's this little drop of poison. They have to repeat this stuff again and again to make you convince them about their plans, that this is God's plan.
Right. Well, it's so irrational. If they don't drum it's good into you 70 times, you might actually use your brain and realize this guy just up and ran away.
It's propaganda.
Exactly.
It's hyped up, like with certain situations. Oh, it's so great, and God is doing this and that. It's propaganda.
Yeah, and if God gifted you with some charisma and a big smiley face, you can put it all together and get the job done.
For the school over to some other people and then help start up other places. But then we came before Christmas, and I saw that the school is very, very, very expensive, and the God is calling us away
Oh, well, now there's another excuse.
from Denmark, and the consequence of that is also that we are closing down the center in Denmark.
Well, 1 month ago, you said it was running good. Remember in the last video, guys? 1 month ago, he said they're back home. That's running all right? They're all right?
And it's good.
Everything, things go from good to bad at the drop of a hat with this liar.
Okay. It's like, yeah, sadly it just didn't work out, but you know, we've got to move on. You know, see you later.
Yeah,
I
forget.
guess he's like Job. I guess he's like Job, and God allowed Satan to destroy everything out of sudden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He goes through the Job story every 3 months, gets destroyed and blessed every 3 months. Like it's like a woo, 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 woo.
We are good with it. The staff at home is good with it. We feel it's time.
We are good with it. The staff at home. Let them talk. Where are they? We want to meet them. Did you hear what he just said? The staff is good with it.
Time to do something else there. Maybe there will be another center in Europe. I don't say that there will not be that, because I think other countries will be able to carry better than Denmark, because Denmark is just a strange country, if you ask me, compared to many other.
Sounds like he doesn't like Denmark. What does he mean when he said other countries will carry better? Does that mean he can make more money in other countries to carry his ministry? And if it doesn't mean what I just said, what does it mean? Other places. Let just listen again. Listen again.
I think other countries will be able to carry better than Denmark.
What does that mean?
Because Denmark is just a strange country.
It's a strange country? I thought they were trying to kill you. I thought Denmark wanted you and your family dead. Denmark's just a silly place. Denmark is a funny, goofy place with my effeminate spirit.
Exactly.
You ask me compared to.
It's one of the richest countries in Europe, if not the world, and it's a strange country that he doesn't like.
It's supposed to be a country trying to kill him and his wife and kids and take his children, rip them out of his arms. Does this sound like an asylum seeker, this fraud? Because this is now, what, a month or two he's in the States or something?
Many other countries. I think other countries will be able to carry better than Denmark, because Denmark is just a strange country, if you ask me, compared to many other countries.
Hey, all the people who he tricked into flying there and donating their time, money, all the people that clean the toilets there, listen to what this guy figured out 8 months after he wasted your life, this imbecile, who's not fit to lead anything. Listen to what he figured out after he called you there to clean the toilets, after people in Denmark gave him thousands and thousands of dollars, after a wealthy soccer player gave this guy a multi-million-dollar facility to run, and he took it on and then presented it to the world like it was the best thing, like it was going to be an airport. Listen to him now, just 8 months later.
I think other countries will be able to carry better than Denmark, because Denmark is just a
Well, Torben, some of us with a brain figure out where to put a location and if it's going to be good or bad, or if there's going to be enough people to come to finance it. Some of us figure that out before we go take a bunch of people's money. Do you know that, Torben? That there's people out there that actually have a brain that can assess these things and not go present them to the world and rob everybody?
But I love Denmark. It's not like that.
You love Denmark? You're fleeing Denmark, remember? Hey, Torben followers who say I give you no proof this guy's a liar. Listen again to the liar.
But I love Denmark. It's not.
You want to hear it again? Denmark, the government of Denmark's trying to rip his children away. Listen.
But I love Denmark. It's not like that. But what we see now is that God, He wants us to help start centers up, but they will be more mobile.
Listen, there'll be more mobile, yet he's 5 months after this, he asked for $2 million something for North Carolina.
Maybe he will tell his deluded followers soon that this was just in effect the outcome of a post-traumatic stress disorder. He couldn't handle this, so that's why he was laughing. So
Yeah.
he would buy it.
Center where we help start it, but it will run independent on us. And we already see that there's actually started on Luke 10 school with our friend Oliver in Canada, in Montreal, in Canada in September. And I will be part of that school, a Luke 10 school in Canada, September, October, November. I'm not sure yet how much I'll be part of it.
What? What's happening, Torben? Is it you're not sure how much you'll be part of it? I will be part of it. So he's got to say that. So that's got to go into your mind. I will be part of it, but I'm going to backdoor it and I'm going to say I'm not sure how much.
If it would be physical there or if it would be on Skype.
Oh, if I'll be there. Oh, now I'm not going there at all. You're just going to shine the Pope's face on a monitor for the cult members. You just sit the cult members down and you shine the vicar's face on a screen. And the vicar will sit in the $2 million house he's sitting in right now. Because he's sitting in a $2 million house right now, hiding it from you by shining the camera on some bland area of the house. So the vicar from his $2 million house in Florida will appear on a Skype call to the cult members in cold, miserable, boring Canada.
Where he doesn't want to go.
Teaching, but I want to be part of it. And that isn't yet how much I'll be part of it, if it would be physical there or if it would be on Skype teaching, but I want to be part of it.
This is where we start to see the true intent start to unfold, that he never planned, U.S. government officials, he never planned to go to Canada. That was just a fleeting little story so he could pretend like he did not come in with the intent of staying here. But his body language, the things that are coming out of his mouth, everything shows that he always intended to stay here by any means necessary, to anyone with a brain.
And that is how much I'll be part of it, if it would be physical there or if it would be on Skype. It would be physical there or if it would be on Skype or if it would be on Skype teaching, but I want to be part of it. And that is the idea, to help to start up schools. The reason I don't know how...
You are such a clown, Torben. You are such an actor and a clown and a fraud. I don't know how people still swallow this down. I don't know how. Even with the gifts God gave you, like your charisma, the happy smile, the big egghead, you're tall, you fling your hands around, you get excited. Even with all the antics, right? I still don't understand how this is still going.
How I'll be part of it is that the thing...
But then again, we all know who's fueling people to feed this guy money. People get turned over to their own delusions.
I think that's most difficult right now, actually, is that it's not easy to get visa in America. We are here.
Whoa, here we go. Here comes the plan starting to come in.
For 3 months. And then we are leaving again in the middle of April. We have been talking with some...
You're leaving again in the middle of April? Where? That's when his visa waiver is going to expire.
Some people about visa, how we can do it. We have been talking with some people about visa, how we can do it.
You're talking to some people about how you can do it? I thought you were fleeing for your life. I thought you and your family were victims of Nazi Denmark. Now you're just talking to some people about how to do it?
We can get the paperwork to do so we can stay here longer time.
Oh, you want to stay here longer time. So just a month? What a coincidence, Torben. A month in, you're admitting you want to stay here longer, a month in. Because the whole goal of him and his lawyers is to pretend like he just came here on vacation, then realized he was a victim out of nowhere. Right before he had to go. That's the goal of him and his lawyers. But he's so bad at faking it, because he's such an imbecile, that he's put it all out there for us.
And it is not easy. It's not easy. There is like working visa, religious visa. If you
Wow, it sounds like you're just juggling the options, asylum seeker.
have a lot of money, then you can
Just
do
a big
everything.
misunderstanding,
It's not,
Chris. No, he's not doing this.
Maybe I've got it wrong.
You got it all.
it's not easy. There is like working visa, religious visa. If you have a lot of money, then you can do everything.
Oh, wink, wink.
Oh,
If I have a lot of money, I could do anything, followers. Did you hear the Pope utter that? The vicar has uttered you a hint.
you
It's
can
not
just
easy.
put it
There
in
is
the
like
stand at the airport, right?
it's like
Same
working
rule.
visa, religious visa. If you have a lot of money, then you can do everything. It's not easy. There is like working visa, religious visa. If you have a lot of money, then you can.
This is what he's hoping for this option on the wheel of manipulation. On this is the mindset he's in now. For those of you who don't know how this all works, right now he's just fishing for a rich person to figure this out. Because he doesn't want to have to be an asylum seeker. He doesn't want to humble himself. He doesn't want to look like a little coward, have to lie to the government. So he's hoping a rich follower will just come up and be like, I'll give you $2 million. You'll buy your citizenship.
Exactly.
It's ironic he had to go to jail to get the kind of money that he needed to just buy it. You ever think about that? Like he literally now, his plan fell apart. Our government arrested him. And now his stupid followers are like, yes, Vicar, we will give you the millions now. Because we feel bad for you.
But asylum seeker is like the last resort on that wheel, and the let rich people figure it out is the first.
Well, that's what I'm pointing out, Tristan. I do the cropping here. I do the cropping. I've focused on the let rich people, because that's what he's doing. The little Jezebel, the little victim snake. But those of you who have a lot of money, you can do what you want. In the United States is so corrupt that if you have a lot of money, you get a pass.
Maybe think that is how America is.
You hear that?
That is how America is.
That's how America, that's how wicked America, corrupt America that I want to live in is.
But I don't have a lot of money. But I don't have a lot of.
Look, he doesn't have a lot of money while he sits next to the boat and the.
But I don't have a lot of money. 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 So I actually don't know how we do it right now. And
then why did CBN say you came here to seek asylum if you're saying we're going to watch that, like all the fake news around this and all the stuff that this manipulator let other people report to get more money? Anything to get money at that time. That's what Torben's about. So if he doesn't know what he's going to do now and he doesn't know how he's going to figure it out, why did CBS and his wife's website, Friends of Torben, say they came here to seek asylum?
so I actually don't know how we do it right now. And that is the biggest challenge, to be honest, right now, because we want to start planning. We want to organize things. And right now, I cannot plan anything because I don't know if I have to be out of the country by April. I don't know if I can stay longer. So because...
Wink, wink. I can't do anything, rich followers. I can't do anything. Come and rescue me.
Because of that, it's very difficult to plan something. And we miss the center in Denmark. We miss the people in Denmark.
You miss it? I thought it was the worst experience of your life on CBN. You were like, it was very stressful when they came in and they came into the center and they tried to actually inspect the place. It was very stressful. And now he misses the center. We miss the center. We love the people there. All while he's going to be fleeing from war-torn Nazi Denmark in another month or two.
We miss having all the people around us. It's all about the people, and we want to help do something in America, but we cannot do anything before we get the paper up.
Keep sending the message, Torben. The rich people might need 4 times before they could figure out what you're asking for. Just give us another wink, Torben.
In order, and before we actually know what the future brings for us, all of that. So please pray.
This guy knows exactly what he plans on doing. As he aimlessly always makes sure, we wonder what the Holy Ghost will blow us into, saints. No, he's got a 5-10-year plan, this guy. And if you don't think so, you're stupid.
And he says, please pray, that means give me your money.
For us, if you can help us, if you have a way, so
if you have a way.
Literally everything he says is manipulation, right?
He's the biggest manipulator in Christianity, this guy. And he's good at it. You got to give him that. He's good at it.
If you can help us, if you have
Until people like us just come and flatline him with one of these videos. Like, so it goes on for a long time, and then we show up. And the guy's like on his back, stunned, looking up at the lights, wondering what happened to him.
way so we can get the paper.
How about all the other clowns that did their act for years, and then we showed up, and it all just came crumbling down in like 3 months flat?
Help us, please. If you can help us, if you have a way so we can get the paper, help us, please. If you can help us, if you have a way so we can get the paper.
He's literally a pathetic little beggar.
Help us, please.
He's like, if you have a way that I could collect money from stupid Americans for the rest of my life, help me.
If you can help us, if you have a way so we can get the paper, help us, please. We would like that.
We would like that. I just want to let you know when you actually get the message and hand me the money that I would like that.
Because the idea, the vision is to, for example, try to imagine this. We are in Florida right now.
He wants you to imagine something. Get ready to open up your mind for the witchcraft. He's like, imagine this, everybody. Here we go. Get ready. Here's the con.
Do a mobile school or school for 2 schools for half year. Farm Orlando. We are there, and then we send people to Jacksonville, Pensacola, Tampa, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and we focus on Florida. Do.
Do. That's what's going to happen. I think that's his imitation of the cash register. Like us after the video's done, he's like a money counter. Do. Hey, Torben, where can we find these places you set up in Florida today? Can I have an address? Torben, if you're out there, can I have an address?
After 2 schools in Florida where we send people out to the same location again and again and equip and make disciples. After we have been doing that.
Yeah, you make disciples and you go teach them all. You pray 15 minutes for deliverance and then it's over. Anything after that is renewal of the mind. You've made a lot of morons, Torben, if that's what you make. People into some fools that don't understand sanctification. But hey, you got to... Go ahead.
All his visions are doo-doo.
Well, you got to thank him because he actually motivates people to make that first interaction for the Lord. For that, you got to thank him. But if everybody was on his program, we'd have a whole body of babes drinking milk forever.
Yeah. No. But actually, that is his scope. God's calling for him, in my opinion. He's an evangelist.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Oh, yeah. Look, if he just did that, evangelism, if he got his doctrine on deliverance straight and stopped being a selfish baby with no discernment, and he taught people about long-term deliverance, if he articulated that water baptism doesn't put away the old man, I think that's pretty much just a few things. Like he teaches to repent. The doctrine's not the worst we deal with. It's on the better. It's on the better end. On the better
But the
end.
thing is, like, he's teaching repentance, but he needs to repent big time.
Right, but he doesn't have to because the demons came out for him 10 years ago. All his demons were washed away when the vicar hat was placed on. That was when the last demon came out. Almost all the demons came out when he really believed one day in the past. But the last demon came out when the vicar hat went on. That's when they all were gone.
Start up fellowships and groups in those different cities or help the churches that's already there. Then it's running by itself. It's running by itself.
Don't ever look in the mirror when you go home and convince yourself that you've started one thing that runs by itself. You liar. And how dare you sell that to your donators, that you've done that even once? After, at this point in time, you've already had 3 failed churches that only lasted 6 to 8 months each. You can't even keep something going 5 years, Torben. You're not even close, Torben. Don't you ever say to your followers they will run by themselves again. Tell them you'll start 100 of them. I'm okay with that. Tell them I'll start 1,000 and they'll all fail after 5 months. I'm okay with that. Good on you. But don't you ever tell people that you will start something that God will finish. You deceiver.
Ready to start. It's just burning in me. I want to get started. But
now we're going to get the summary.
We need the paperwork. But we need the paperwork. But we need the paperwork.
What's that? The 6th or 7th time he winked at his followers to help them get citizenship here? No mention of Asylum yet.
Paperwork. And this is where we are now. So that was a little information. The center in Denmark is closing. Don't cry over that because it's just a bit.
Don't cry over that. I just wasted hundreds of people's money and time. Don't cry. It's easy for me to do that. I could do that with a smile on my face, saints. Waste everybody's money and time. Don't cry now.
Unbelievable. And God have also shown us by the center that we can be more effective. We can be more.
God showed him by his failure that he couldn't run a center for even a year, that he could do good things. I've never met anybody that fails over and over again and makes it sound like it's a blessing. More than this guy.
Mobile. And I think God showed us that I don't want to have a big center. Not like that. Not in that way. I want to be more free. I don't want to be locked to a building. I want to be free.
His will is God's will.
Yeah, look. This is him just months later with his big center. Look at this. This is unbelievable. Let me play it for you. Just listen to what he says here. And then let's see what he actually does.
And I think God showed us that I don't want to have a big center. Not like that. Not in that way. I want to be more free. I don't want to be locked to a building. I want to be free. God have prepared this place for us. I don't want to be locked to a building. God have prepared this place for us.
Wow, sounds like God's doing 2 things at once here. Isn't this weird? God's doing all this, guys.
Of course. God have prepared this place for us. I don't want to be locked to a building. God have prepared this place for us.
This is 6 months after he just said that, people.
I don't want to be locked to a building. It cost $2.2 million.
Sounds like he's trying to buy it.
I don't have any money.
Don't have any money.
But we came here and we believe it's God. And I think God showed us that I don't want to have a big center. But we came here and we believe it's God. And I think God showed us that I don't want to have a big center. We are excited.
But guys, it's okay for Torben to be the biggest hypocrite and liar on earth because he's the Pope. Just pretend you didn't see that. What do you think the Torben followers are doing? Like the Torben followers, when they see that? Him saying God told him he's not going to have a big fixed center that's immovable. And then 6 months later, he's begging for $2 million. Well, in that case, he already skinned a guy. He tried to for 800 grand. And then he was asking other people for about $500,000, if I remember correctly. But that's irrelevant at this point. 6 months earlier, God doesn't want him to have a big center. His heart is to stay mobile. God has taught him from the failure of the center in Denmark many things. To stay mobile is number one. Then 6 months later, he all of a sudden is asking for millions of dollars to buy a big fixed center. And guess how long it lasts? About what I don't even remember actually. Not long. Not long. I don't know the exact time. Because if I say one thing that's not perfect, you know what his followers will do? They'll ignore everything we just showed them. And they'll be like, it was really a year and a month, Chris. You liar.
And they will answer all the time with a lame excuse. God is using him in a mighty way.
I've heard that one many times.
Many times.
Thank you for that, actually. That was good. He's bringing back the book of Acts. Even though people have believed in the book of Acts since Jesus died. I mean, since it was written. Excuse me.
He just quoted scripture saying, God has prepared a place for us here, right?
Right.
Now, how long, regardless of how long, like whether it's months or whatever, to me that sounds like for the rest of time, he's going to stay there and get it done. That's what it sounds like. God's prepared a place for him, right?
No, well, he was asking for money in this video I'm showing you. He was asking for money to purchase it, not rent it. Purchase it and make it, like he said, a place for years to come that will be a center in the United States. Like he said on his CBN interview, where it said he dreams of having a center, quote, I'm quoting them, he said he dreams of having a center in the USA like the one he had in Denmark. After months earlier, he said he doesn't want them anymore. He let CBN put out the exact opposite of what he wanted, and then he does the exact opposite himself of what he pledged to everybody, that he wouldn't do it again. And you know why he does it? Because he gets a chance for rich people to hand him a lot of property or money, and he will never turn it down because he's a greedy, gluttonous money lover. So whether his plan is to stay still or travel, we know it's to travel. But if his plan is to travel, let's say, and somebody offers him a fixed building that's worth a lot of money, he can't say, like a good, honest man, he can't say that's not my calling. Let me introduce you to another pastor who that would be perfect for, who can actually use that. He can't do that because he's a manipulator and he's a lover of money. So he takes it, and then he goes and begs everybody and wastes everybody else's money because he's got ADHD and he's can't sit still and he's deluded.
The future brings in America for us. So please pray for us. Pray that we will get the visa. If you somehow have some contacts or some
Here we go again.
way that you can help us, you're welcome to do that. Because
You're welcome to do that, people. If you didn't hear the first 6 times he mentioned
it could be so nice to get started. And the visa thing.
Does this sound like an asylum seeker? I gotta keep reminding people that this guy changed his status. to an asylum seeker. Months after this. Or maybe a month, or I don't even know. But with months after this, he changed.
I think the paper thing is the last thing I feel is.
Keep making hand motions, Torben, when you talk about the visa.
In a way to really start to plan and get started with what God wants us to do. The visa thing, the paper thing is the last thing I feel is. In a way to really start to plan and get started with what God wants us to do. The visa thing, the paper thing is the last thing I feel.
Always speaking in riddles, too. The visa thing, the paper thing. Because he's just looking for someone to come and do this for him. He's just throwing the visa thing, the work permit thing, everything but asylum at this point. But in the back of his mind, he's like, if all this fails, it's asylum.
Yes. In a way to really start to plan and get started with what God wants us to do. Hey, everyone of you up.
Here's 5 months later. Here's where we see the complete erosion of the plan, right?
Out there, my friends and people we know.
The plan is eroded and he's had to go to the last resort.
Oh, I am very nervous, but also excited at the same time to do this video. This is a very, very special video. I will now say it as it is for the first time. We are in America, as some of you know, but we are seeking asylum. And that is not a small thing to seek asylum because of religious and political persecution and other persecution. And I'm actually one of the first one from Europe. Sad to say, I don't think I'm the last one, but I'm one of the first one from Europe who are seeking asylum.
You're just a trendsetter, Torben. You're just the leader of the pack. You brought the book of Acts back so mightily, Torben, that you will be the first one to get granted asylum in the USA from Denmark.
He deserves it.
He deserves it. He's the vicar. No one else believed in the book of Acts till this guy brought it back to planet Earth.
And so our case is very, very special. And the last half year have been very, very special. I have never in my whole life imagined I should experience anything like we have done the last year.
You mean the vacationing you've done around the U.S. to tourist locations? You mean living in mansions in Florida? Yeah, it's been special, all right. Getting handed 50 grand at the airport. Getting handed luxury rental places.
I'll just show a picture here of my case.
Here's more manipulation. Here's my case. Look at the big stack of papers.
You can see there's a lot of paper. I can also put it in where you can see it, and this is copies sent to different places. So this is my case, my asylum case. And it's not a small decision to leave your country and go to another place to seek asylum.
What do you mean? You came to seek asylum? Before you said you were coming as a tourist, you liar. Did you lie to our government? You just said you came here to seek asylum. That's not what we saw. I think you lied to our government. I think you're trying to play the U.S. immigration system so you could become a U.S. citizen and collect more money from the charismatic American Christians.
And I want to, in this video, tell...
Don't say we don't prove it. He just said it. He said he came here to seek asylum. He just told you what's going on. Now he's either lying now or lying before. Pick your poison.
In more detail, what had actually happened, and what I'm going to say now is something I never shared public before, and I'm actually a little worried, nervous to share this video, but I want you to know my heart. I want you to know what we have gone through. I want you to...
He wants you to know his heart because he always follows his heart, because he told you his heart was to keep moving, and then he went and got a Jesus center. So it's really important to know his heart, because if you know his heart, you can know he's going to do the exact opposite after he tells you what his heart is.
His heart is deceitful above all.
That's right.
That's true.
What's happening in Europe right now, because I don't think I'm maybe the first one who was seeking asylum in America, but I am really not the last one who's going to do it. And I also have a message for people who live in America. So it's going to be a little long video, but I really hope you will listen to all of it.
Man, you had a message for us and you didn't tell us when you got here? Why'd you wait so long, Torben? If it's so important, if God gave you this mighty message to bring to America, now that you've been persecuted in Denmark, you would have thought we would have got it the day you got off the plane. You manipulator.
Wait and follow me in this. First, to go back to some of the things that happened. I want to say I've been doing ministry in Denmark for around 20 years. I've been on national TV over 20 times in different programs. And I've never had any issues with media and so on. And I've been praying for people and cast out demons and tell about Jesus for years. And I never had any issues. If I look at Denmark, there have been a lot of bad stories of ministries who have gone wrong. There's people who have had affairs. There's people who have sexual misuse and have got job.
Sexual misuse.
Judged by court.
Talk about a prideful ignoramus that makes no effort to learn the English language. Has this guy improved at all speaking English from the first day he started speaking English?
Yes, very good.
Sorry, I had point because of that. And there's a lot of bad stories that have been going on in Denmark, and I have been trying to really make an example of something that is pure and holy. This is my heart. So I've been looking and follow what have happened and had like, okay, we will not do the same mistakes. But then suddenly everything went wrong. What happened was that Danish TV, two different TV stations was contacting me who want to do a documentary about me. And then another TV station, the biggest TV station in Denmark, contacted me. And I know the journalist for some programs many years ago, and he seems genuine and real. So I said yes to him.
What does any of this have to do with someone deserving to be granted asylum?
He's got to spin it.
And he wanted to do a documentary where he was following me in the last Reformation. And in the letters to me, he wrote that there's a lot of life that's been changed and people are meeting God in the last Reformation. And you have something different to give than the Lutheran State Church. And we want to tell those stories. And I was like, okay, let's do that. But they had an agenda, a totally different agenda. So Danish TV was following us from...
Really? You're telling me worldly news didn't want to paint you in a positive light? That's just unbelievable. I mean, if Channel 4 called me, I would be so happy and know that they were just, meaning the best for me and my ministry, and they would just want everyone to know about what we believe about casting out demons and the power of Jesus and repentance and how homosexuality is wrong. If they called me, they would just love to just paint that in the best of light. And I should not even be mad at them if they do anything else but paint it in the best of light.
For 1.5 years, and they were in London with me to a big Kickstarter meeting we had with 800 people, and they've been following us all over. What I did not know was that there was a big agenda to really destroy us. And I did not know that there was some laws that was being changed at the same time. What I did not know that there was some people...
Well, you didn't know because they have nothing to do with you. That's why you didn't know. Because you're just making something out of nothing.
A group who were persecuting us who at the same time contacted the TV, and they all came together, and it became a mess. So the 2nd of January, they started the first TV programs on national TV, and understand that there is 500,000 people who are watching out of 6 million. So it's 10% of Denmark who are watching those programs. But then it keep coming on TV and different stations, and it came on in newspaper, and it just took off. And what they really managed to do was take all of those bad cases, also where
What does this have to do with someone being worthy of being granted asylum?
people have been judged and have really done sexual misuse.
Does getting mocked and embarrassed on the news qualify someone to claim that their life is in danger and they can't exercise their religion in a freedom of religion Denmark?
No.
And
also in the book of Acts, the disciples, when they got arrested and persecuted, rejoiced that they were able to suffer for the name. So
right.
Why is that not part of the way he's taking it? I don't understand. Yeah. He's all about the book of Acts.
In his doctrine, you get a bunch of money to start a Jesus Center, and when the news makes fun of you, you run away, leave your brethren high and dry, and you say, if I'm persecuted in this country, I flee to the next, brethren.
And they mixed it all together. So people had no idea who was doing what and so on. So suddenly I got a lot of threats like, Torben, you have misused those, you have done this, and you have done this, and you should go to jail, and you have done this. And I was like, no, it was not me, it was them, and it was that, and it was that network, and it was those people. And I just started to get a lot of threats.
You didn't mention one threat. You just called things that weren't threats, threats. Now, I've been threatened many times on the phone. People tell me they're going to kill me, kill my family. If I don't stop exposing their pastor, they're going to crack my head open, voicemail. Who cares? Grow a pair, Torben. Grow a pair.
Together with the 3 programs, it went all over in Denmark.
This guy's got such an effeminate spirit that he just doesn't even... If he would just get delivered of his effeminate spirit, maybe this wouldn't bother him anymore. Because this guy is sissy sensitive, this pastor.
He's in agreement with that. I mean, that's all part of the story, right?
Well, it helps him
to be the victim.
Yeah, he's got to be the victim. He's got to be the nice, gentle man that was persecuted.
The hero.
The movie star.
We're all misunderstanding this, and that's what his followers are telling us. We don't have love, of course, and we just don't understand. In reality, he is the big hero. He's the man of God. No, he's not a liar, manipulator. No,
right.
Of course.
Yet they can't refute or disprove one point we've made in this whole video.
They will never refute this.
If you go back,
God will use them mightily.
Yeah, exactly. But if you go back to every video I've ever made about this guy, no one has been able to refute one bit of it.
Not one.
Hours and hours of dealing with him and his lies and his false doctrines and his hypocrisy and his money manipulating. Not one person has been able to say, you misrepresented him there. Only, he's a nice man, we met him. He's a nice man, we met him. And that's the manipulation of those traveling ministries. He goes around, meets someone for a second and is gone, and they're like, wow, he took the time for me. But really, he only gave you 15 seconds if you weren't giving him money. And then he shook your hand, moved in. You don't know him. You don't know, and take it from somebody who's been a pastor and has people come and live out here sometimes, and has had people close to him and people that are at a distance. I'll tell you right now, until you spend weeks and months and even years with people, you don't really know them yet.
Yeah, but they're angry because we are attacking their idol. This guy is an idol for many, and they cannot let go of their delusion because, it hurts. I mean, that's what it is. It hurts people, and they want to hold on this delusion, and they do everything for that. And at the end, they say, we don't have love. We should stop it. All these jokers that are saying, yeah, but now it's enough. You know, you did a couple of videos, but you should really stop it. No, why?
Yeah, we'll decide when it's enough, people. As the ones who are the ones that could see through the garbage, and the ones with discernment that over and over again have exposed other ministries way before even their own disciples knew what they were doing. We were calling them out for stuff from a whole nother country away just by looking at their face. When their own disciples didn't even know what they were doing. The people that were with them every day couldn't see what they were doing. And we were able to see what they were doing. And it was accurate, and they couldn't believe it, and it happened time and time again. We'll be the ones to decide when it's enough. Not you, no discernment novices. We'll decide.
The common denominator with all this type of person generally is charm. And
Right.
I think there's a link between charm, being charming, and the witchcraft element of charm. That you're charming people. You're seducing them at some level to get them to do what you want, and also admire you for it when you're just ripping them off or whatever. But the charm covers it, and people can't see past it. That's the deceptive element of it.
Right.
In 3 weeks, I was on national TV over 10 times. I was in the news almost like many times. I was on live TV in the news. They came and set up a camera at our Jesus Center in Denmark, and I was on live TV. And I was on the front page of newspaper. People was talking about it, and it just went crazy. And it was very, very bad.
It went crazy. It was very bad. You got nothing, Torben.
It was very bad programs. And
say it twice. Very bad twice. If you say very bad twice, then the people will
believe it.
People will know it was very bad.
His deluded followers are believing it.
Right.
It's working.
Yeah. He knows it works.
The way they put it up. And I would say that the 9th of January is a day Sorry.
Ridiculous.
The American dream bubble just burst, yeah?
9th of January was the day.
He's crying because he couldn't find a businessman to get him the easy way.
Right.
Now he's got to claim asylum. He can never go back home.
It's the day I never forget.
That's what manipulators do when they can't get it their way and things fell apart for them. They cry because they didn't get what they want, but they make the people watching believe they're crying because they're vulnerable and godly and meek.
Yeah, right.
I did this show, the trailer for the last program, and I saw people I had known before who had worked with us, who actually went out and lied and put a knife in my back.
Yeah, that's happened to me about 20 times. And it'll happen another 50 before I'm dead.
The program was, the trailer that was very, very bad. And when I saw that, I was like, no one will ever trust me again.
Bible says trust no man. Who cares?
Well, imagine what they're going to think after this one.
No one will ever trust me again. No one will ever listen and believe what I stand for. Sorry. And it was hard. It was hard to be put on national TV like that. Sorry.
Blessed are you when all men persecute you, revile you.
Sorry. I didn't expect this.
And we're going to show you at the end the times that I was embarrassed on mainstream TV in the U.S. I really enjoyed it, actually.
But it was hard. And it was like, suddenly everything became dark. And I was like, I'm just finished. I'm finished in Denmark.
Here he says, we arrived in the United States January 26. We fled in fear of the government of Denmark. Did it look like in those beginning videos, he fled in fear? Or was he on vacation, planning to go to Canada? Look at this stuff. These are the reasons he gave. The fire department got a complaint. So really, the fire department's not persecuting him. It's somebody that doesn't like him turning in complaints. And they're doing their job to come and investigate, right? And then every time they get there, they leave him alone. They always say they come and then they don't find anything. Look, everything was fine. The fire department came. Everything was fine. Food control. Everything was okay. Does this sound like this guy's being persecuted by the government? Or does this sound like the guy's got some people close to him that's just making phone calls, reporting him to agencies? Why is he up here claiming that his government's attacking him if he keeps saying everything was okay when they got there? He got no fine. Didn't get arrested. This guy's such an idiot. This guy's the biggest idiot on planet Earth.
Of course, you got it all wrong. I guess God stepped in at the right time and saw nothing.
But then why flee? God will step in before you. Why have no faith and then flee your country if God's always stepping in last minute to make everything okay? Look at it. The police came. Everything was good when they got there. The tax authority showed up. They shook my hand and wished me well on the way out. The municipality came. Everything was okay. So Torben, you liar and manipulator, I think what you should be telling the U.S. government is, you have some 16-year-old kid at your ministry who you threw out who is just reporting you to agencies to mess with you. Not that the Denmark government's chasing you and wants to kill your family. Okay, novice? Okay, liar? Why don't you try that on? Because you're over here admitting every time they came, you got no fine, no arrest, and they left you alone. Tell me I'm not proving it, Torben followers. This is his sworn affidavit that he wrote off of his website that his wife made called Friends of Torben. Go pull it up yourself. He wrote that. Everything was fine. Everything was okay. They left it no problem. Here's the next page. Look, he's afraid. One of the scariest situations involved his daughter, who is now 14. So now she's like 17 or 18. So he has no worry that, or maybe she's 16, something like that. She's an adult, basically. And if she's not an adult, she's a year or two away. This guy doesn't have little children. They're all grown up. He makes it like they're going to come and take my baby out of my arms. What is this? What is this clown show? We get an unexpected visit from the municipality who has received an email. So again, someone else sent an email. All of these things happen by maybe one demonic person so in trouble in his ministry. Called all the firemen and the police and everything. How does that mean that his government is persecuting? They have an obligation to follow up and investigate if they get a report. That's what agencies do, Torben. What you should be telling the U.S. government is that the different food inspection agencies and the fire departments in Denmark are very thorough in doing their job, following up the complaints they're getting. And not only that, they're very honest people when they get there and you admit that everything was okay and they left you alone and they left. Why is this in an asylum paper, you ignoramus? You clown. You call this persecution for Christ, you clown? You are an effeminate, Torben. Period. You are an overly emotional child and a shame to Jesus Christ that you abandoned your brethren over this baby garbage. Someone came over here and put a knife in my throat and in my back and cut me and left me bleeding on this floor. I'm not leaving. And this effeminate. This is what he puts up here, and he calls himself some great one in the end times, the head of the last Reformation. You will go down in history as a coward, an effeminate Danish coward who tried to come to the USA to get money. They want to come again and check up on us. We say no to this and get scared. Look at this. These are his words. I'm not even making that phraseology up. Look at this. On October 18th, he wrote this, 2018. The municipality contacted me by phone. The municipality. Not international Interpol. His local municipality in Denmark contacted him, saying after thinking about it, they thought that his daughter was too thin and maybe had an eating disorder. They come and wanted to check up on this. We say no to this and get scared. What do you think this coward's going to do in an end-time situation where they got a knife to his throat? This coward. Can't even take the municipality. You know how many times people called CPS on me, and I had people here looking in my fridge, looking over my children, trying to figure out if I'm a wicked man, the people that don't believe in our doctrine. I invite them in, feed them, I'm friendly to them. And I don't go on YouTube to get money or play the victim about it. Part of the job. Do you know that testify, Tristan, you know CPS people called them on me multiple times. Don't you? Am I a good father?
Yes.
Do I sit up here getting scared like a little coward, like a little sissy?
I think everybody can answer that.
Look at this. This guy wants to present him. This makes me angry. Because this is the example that people are looking at as the head of some end time movement of the true God and his son, Jesus. He got scared. We say no to this and we get scared.
It's shameful.
And then guess what they do? They come, they check it out, and everything's okay, and they leave his daughter there.
You know, he will be the first person that will deny Christ when real persecution starts.
Right.
Could be.
Yes,
It's
he
hard
will
to be
deny Christ.
If he had the option, if he had the option to rat people out and get out of jail now, he'd be doing that, but he doesn't. Because he's in our country illegally and they're going to hold him there.
We then have been living in a house for some time in Florida, and was.
By the way, all those things I read you were the reasons he's fleeing Denmark. In his sworn affidavit, yeah, these are the reasons that this guy's claiming asylum.
That's everything.
What else is there? Have you heard anything else?
But I mean, there's literally nothing there, right? I mean, no wonder.
What else is there? Am I missing something? Imagine you get mocked on the news and they come to check and see if there's rats in your kitchen, and then some member of your ministry calls the Danish version of CPS on you, and CPS comes to investigate and do their job because they have no choice. In this country, if someone calls CPS on me, they got to come here and investigate. They have no choice. They got to come. And I don't care if they do come. Because every time they come, they find, guess what they do? They find that we're feeding our kids, schooling our kids, and we are taking care of our kids. Imagine if CPS came and I turned to you guys and said, I know that we came here to plant this ministry in Texas, but I've been persecuted in this city. I got to run to the next. CPS came. I was scared. What a joke.
We then have been living in a house for some time in Florida, and was waiting to what to do with the papers and all of that. And I would say asylum was the last thing we wanted even there.
Asylum was the last thing you wanted? What do you mean? Do you mean you, like we've been telling? So, okay, you wanted evidence that what I say is true, Sondergaard followers. He just said asylum was an option. So he was weighing the other options he told you about in the past when he listed them out of his mouth. Work visa, blah, blah, blah. Religious visa, blah, blah, blah. So listen to him. Asylum was not a necessity. Because remember in the beginning we told you we were going to prove that asylum, he claimed it as just an option, not a necessity? There you go. Don't say we didn't touch on it and prove it now.
I would say asylum was the last thing we wanted even there, because asylum means that we cannot come back to Denmark.
He just told you why he didn't go with that option. The point is, staying in the USA is the number one goal.
I would say asylum was the last thing we wanted even there, because asylum means that we cannot come back to Denmark. I would say asylum was the last thing we wanted even there, because asylum means that we cannot come back to Denmark.
Torben, are you too stupid to know that this proves that you are not genuinely in danger by saying that? Are you really that stupid that you get up on your YouTube and you speak this out of your own mouth and you don't think that an intelligent person is going to be like, this guy just used asylum to play the system as a last resort? I mean, this isn't rocket science to expose this. You know the problem? Other people won't put in the work. This takes work to put this together. This takes 10, 15 hours of diligent research, more, 100 hours probably, over the, because I couldn't even do something like this if I didn't know the backstory very well. I couldn't even build it and put it together like that.
But it's also the discernment to see it in the first place.
Right, but the discernment to see it to the first place is just the root of the tree that's about to grow out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's why I'm saying other people also, it's the work afterwards to actually put it all together, but actually discernment of spirits is a gift from God, right?
It is.
And he uses it to refine the church.
It's a gift everyone in New Jersey must have. The second I left New Jersey, people seem to be walking into trees. The further west I went, it seemed like spiritual discernment was going out the window.
For a long time, and we actually don't know what it means. We actually don't know if we go back to Europe. We actually don't know what it means exactly, because...
Why does that upset you if your life's in danger there?
It's not so often somebody seek asylum like we do from Europe, from Denmark.
Not so often? It probably never happened once. Who knows?
And the first time we had some meeting, we talked about maybe just take religious visa or working visa or something.
What was that? You had a meeting and you talked about, like, trying a different angle? Listen to that again, everybody. For those of you who really want more evidence that he just did this to play the system, listen to what Torben and his handlers did.
And the first time we had some meeting, we talked about maybe just take religious visa or working visa or something. And the first time we had some meeting, we talked about maybe just take religious visa or working visa or something. And the first time we had some meeting, we talked about maybe just take religious visa or working visa or something. And the first time we had some meeting, we talked about maybe just take religious visa or working visa.
Now, look at this picture, everybody. How many people that come here that seek asylum, like refugees floating in on rafts into Miami and stuff, how many of them do you think went about a situation like this to choose to seek asylum? Like used a bunch of rich people's money to hire lawyers and sat down, chatted with them, talked about religious visa, work visa, and then, they decided asylum it is. Let's go with asylum, Torben. Can you get CBN on the phone really quick, your friends at CBN, to cut the story? And can you sit down, you little effeminate, so they could put some makeup on you and you could act like a crisis actor sitting on a little park bench on the CBN story and sell this to the world? What do you think, Tristan? How many people decide to seek asylum in this country by this method here, sitting at a board meeting?
I mean, it's very in character, I would say.
Or something. And hope that everything would just fall down and be quiet again so we could come back. But then the laws came.
The laws showed up, guys. The laws.
But then the laws came. In 1st March and 1st of April, around there. And something else happened, something I cannot say here, something crazy. Like I've never imagined that before. Like somebody really tried to attack us.
Laws came, somebody attacked.
But I saw God I have never seen before.
It's
how
rambling.
He organized, how He spoke, how He saved us.
It's just a whole bunch of nothing.
Yeah.
Tristan, a thing flew into my head, and then something jumped on me. And then bad things came. It was very bad, very bad, very bad, very bad. What do you know what happened to me now?
No, but here's £50,000.
Thank you. Can you PayPal me? Can you send something into my PayPal?
Dramatic. It sounds dramatic. That's all what it needs here.
Right. It's building
So that
the
was-
sub story, right?
It sounds as if, like, you know, some terrorists are kicking in the door and dragging him out and whatnot.
Yeah. He knows that.
Yeah.
That's the goal. That's the witchcraft of what he's doing. He knows that you're going to think that, but he can't say that because that never happened. Nothing happened.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I cannot
It's
say
like,
that.
why is this coming out now? You usually talk
But
about
suddenly, with the papers and that things that happen and the new laws.
The papers, things that happened, and the new laws. Remember that. The papers, things that happen, things, and the laws.
laws.
Remember that. This guy deserves U.S. citizenship. The papers, things happen, the laws. He deserves citizenship.
If things are so
I
horrible,
just know that.
they're unspeakable. You cannot utter this. What really happened?
Dude, I don't like papers either. And I definitely don't like when something happens.
Yeah, and laws are inconvenient
It's
when
not going
you
to
want to break them.
Yeah, laws are a real problem.
stop. If I would be back in Denmark, they would put me to jail.
If he will be back in Denmark, they will put him to jail. If he will be back in Denmark, they will put him to jail. And people take their Bible doctrine from this guy. Can't even form a sentence.
And I've said I've lost all confidence in the system. And it's hard, like I have my Danish passport here. And I've always been proud of being Danish. I've always been proud of having my Danish passport.
I thought you said that the Danish country is a weird country.
Denmark is just a strange country, if you ask me, compared to many other countries.
Denmark is a good country. And I've never imagined that I should lose all hope in Denmark like this. But the new law came, and I saw it in the Danish parliament. I have a picture of it here. There was a stadium.
The new law came. He never defined it.
Stadium talking about me. And in the Danish parliament, they were talking about this new law called.
Notice now here's where the clown show comes in, people. So he already planted it in your mind that new laws were made. Now we're shifting it back to they were talking about making a new law. Now you're going to see the circus unfold now.
Called mental violence law, that mental violence and physical violence have the same punishment. But physical violence it's easy to say like when it happened because there is blue mark, it's physical, you know it happened. Mental violence is more very difficult to define. When is it mental violence? And they had discussion on Danish in Denmark about if you ground your kids for a longer period of time, that could be mental violence.
Okay, so obviously this doesn't really just pertain to him. Even if you ground them too long, they can, just like any other country, if they deem you're being abusive to a child, you're in trouble. It's got nothing to do with religion.
And of course, if you have kids who think they're homosexual or something, that and you as born-again parents go against your kids and say, no, you are not a girl, you're a boy, you're not a boy, you're a girl, and really, that could be mental violence, of course. And you know, with the new law, mental violence gives 3 years jail, but also with the new court case, they can come from one day in order to take away the kids. But they were talking about these programs and talking about me and talking about the boy who was peeing in his pants and said that, yeah, we have all seen these programs and we say that we should add to this law that mental violence is to cast demons out of kids or handicapped or cast demons out in front of kids and handicapped people.
And there's no law that prohibits anyone from casting out demons. He's making that up.
And when the law came out, I have the law here from the Danish Parliament. This is the law.
That's a proposed law. If you translate those words, somebody else did it online. I'm going to show everyone. It's not an actual law that was passed. At least the amendment he's showing, the part that he's showing, how demons could be involved, that part was never added.
And there's one thing one thing they have commented to the.
They had commented. So now it went from it's a law to here. Right here they commented this under this. They attempted to change this law with this comment on this day.
Define what mental violence is. And that is to cast out demons. Or kids, handicapped people, or in front of kids and handicapped people. That law have not been there. That thing had not been there if it had not been because of me and the programs. Like, we have a total secular country.
So every time he says that law is there, he's lying.
No one believes in it.
Because it's only a proposed law, that element of it.
Believe in deliverance. And I've never had any complaint. And then suddenly, it's in the law. I'm in the law.
He's not in the law. He's in no law. He's a liar. He just said, I'm in the law. He's a liar. He's not in the law.
And I know that they're not going to stop. They have written this law. They have added me to this law. And there's focus on me. And they talked about it.
No, you just clung on to this so you could come to the United States.
And if I go back to Denmark...
Never let a good crisis go to waste like every other Satanist, right?
Yeah. They will, because new law, take me to jail. And we cannot live there because they could take away our kids. You know, yeah.
Lovely story, Torben.
Something like that. Something like that. Something like that.
So after the whole story, look at him. After he tells you all this stuff, as it's a matter of fact, and now he's like...
Something like that. Something like that. Something like that.
Yeah, because that's what truthful people do. They say a bunch of stuff. They tell you what the future is going to... They invent their own future. They tell you, if I go back, I'll be arrested. I've decided. If I go back, they'll take my children away. I've decided. And that's how it's going to be. Something like that. Something like that.
So if they're going to arrest him and put him in jail for casting out demons, which is probably the strongest case, if there was one, even though it's not true, why is he not rejoicing as a Christian about that?
Exactly.
That's a feather in your cap.
Well, let's stick with the fact that it's not true, because it's not. This way we could get through the video.
But then why the sub story even if it was?
But yeah, I mean, it has been shown over and over again that he's using certain things, like, for example, what he did with the Real Man Cook event. He's using everything that he can twist to present himself to be the big hero, persecuted person in this case.
Right. But look at this.
He's doing this from the get-go.
Yeah, he'll use anything in his surroundings to exalt his own ministry like any other wizard. But over here on the website, TLR Truth, they exposed him that this is not even a law that was passed. Now, he blended all different laws, like, the manipulator he is, but there's no laws that you can't cast out demons in Denmark at all, children or anything. And you can read this article if you guys want. It's called Immigration Fraud, Perjury, Conspiracy to Commit an Aggravated Felony, and Willful Harm to the Reputation of the USA. This TLR Truth channel is accusing Torben of all these things. If you go down, it says, secondly, the law Sondergaard refers to was passed on the 30th of March 2019. That is a month after Torben Sondergaard supposedly fled because of the aforementioned law. So what they're saying is he fled before this thing was even passed. Thirdly, it is evident that Torben Sondergaard has no issues misleading the public on his private YouTube channel with more than 100,000 followers. He is holding a paper claiming that this is a new law in Denmark that forced him to seek asylum in the U.S. In fact, the paper is not the law or any law at all. It is a paper containing the official considerations regarding the aforementioned law protected children and mentally ill from abuse by close relatives. The title on the paper even states, in Danish, Consideration, the proposed bill to amend the criminal code and various other acts, in Danish. In it is mentioned that the exorcism may be considered mental violence, but this consideration is not the passed law. Torben Sondergaard is very well aware of this, because obviously he could read his own language, and it's in his own language. In the same video, Torben asked for donations, help with housing, asking for political assistance that will be advantageous in regards to obtaining a resident visa in the U.S. Not only is he misleading thousands of followers, among them thousands of U.S. citizens, but he's also encouraging them to look for ways to circumvent American law on immigration for his own benefit. So that article right there must have been translated by someone in Denmark, because I can't read that stuff. So one of his own countrymen made that, posted it, and exposed him. And if you keep reading that, because I read the whole article, if you go to that website and you read the article, it later says that other religious leaders deny that these laws have any effect on Torben's religious freedoms. So other Christians in that country don't view these laws as limiting their ability to minister in any way. He's the only one. Listen here, Torben Sondergaard follower. This fraud is the only one in Denmark, that's a Christian, that claims that these laws persecute Christians and limit their ability to minister. Think about that. Not one other member of the body of Christ in the country view it that way.
So we knew it was asylum, and
So we knew it was asylum. What does that mean? So we knew. Listen to that again. He always talks about asylum like it's a choice on a wheel, like the whole time. The whole time he talks about it like it's just an option.
Yeah, it's the last resort.
So we knew it was.
Look at him.
It was asylum, and we applied for asylum, and you can see our papers again.
Yeah. Keep showing us the big stack of papers, you lying fraud.
It's a lot of papers here.
Manipulation.
It's so great how he had that up on his phone and pre-planned showing it. Notice he didn't have to pull it up. He's like, oh, here you go. Look, I had pulled this up before I turned the camera on, everybody.
Unbelievable.
We feel it's time to start centers in America.
Oh, you feel it's time to start centers. That's interesting.
We have looked at a center in North Carolina, actually, near Charlotte. It's a crazy experience we had 1 week ago. And I look forward to share that testimony. I'll do that in another video. We don't have the center yet. We don't have the money yet. We don't have the money yet. We don't have
Look at it. It's the dangling carrot again. Another great reason to send old Torby boy a lot of money. Notice Torben once a year, once every 2 years, needs a massive reason to get a lot of money. That's very convenient. Hey, I could always use the next $500,000 myself. Maybe I should start making stories up. What do you guys think? Should I start running BDS like that?
we believe God, He will send somebody and He will take care of that also. If you,
Oh, God will send somebody? Did you just speak it, believe it, receive it?
He will take care of that also.
What?
If you are somebody and He will take care of that also. We believe God, He will send somebody and He will take care of that also.
Really?
If you are
Maybe it's someone that watched this video, Torben. I wonder if God would have sent them if you didn't make the video, Torben. Manipulating the people.
know some politicians that could help our case, that would be good. Because it's a very special case.
Did you hear what he just said?
Politicians. If there's any politicians out there that can help my case.
And how would that happen, Torben? Would they have to break the law and like skirt the You don't want to go through due process and do this the right way, Torben? Are you reaching out to your followers to see if they have a politician in their pocket, Torben?
Of course, he is the vicar.
Well, why doesn't he just want to go to his asylum case like a normal person?
He is not a normal person, he is the vicar.
Are you telling me the vicar needs to reach out to a rich businessman that have close personal connections with political people, and what are they going to do? Go around the back door for this guy?
Looks like it.
Because it's a very special case. And then if there's maybe business people or people with influence who also want to help with centers and
I think some Bitcoin people could help. I think some Bitcoin people could help. How about you? You think maybe some oil tycoons? Because Torben's got to list them. This way, when you're sitting in your house and you're an oil tycoon, you could be like, he spoke to me. He spoke directly to me. Wait, I am an oil tycoon. Torben, what's your address? I have $100,000 for you.
Now God can use me.
that's another thing. Let us know.
Torben and his family fled Denmark this year like refugees fleeing a war zone.
Really? Does anyone remember those first videos we watched when he first got here? Really? Listen to that again.
Torben and his family fled Denmark this year like refugees fleeing a war zone, leaving with only what they could carry in 8 suitcases.
That's a lot of suitcases. Like I've never gone anywhere without just a backpack, but Torben got 8 suitcases. 8.
The attacks against the ministry began in 2016, when the Jesus Center was investigated by 6 different...
I hope you guys appreciate us putting all this in chronological order for you.
...different Danish government agencies, for everything from food safety to unpaid taxes. Officials found nothing wrong.
Officials found nothing wrong.
Officials found nothing wrong. Officials found nothing wrong. Officials found nothing wrong. Officials found nothing wrong. Officials found nothing wrong.
Do I need to play it again, Sondergaard follower? Officials found nothing wrong. What does Torben say? My government's abusing me. Wow, that's some great abuse, Torben. The food inspectors didn't even give you a fine for a dirty refrigerator. They're really, really pounding you in, buddy.
Oh, Danish TV sent not only a film.
CBN put powder on Torben's cheeks and put lipstick on and put glaze on his bald head so he could be a movie star again on CBN.
Film crew. It also sent 2 undercover reporters into Torben's ministry. One who said he wanted to follow Jesus and was even baptized, and another who pretended to be mentally ill. The result was a news documentary called God's Best Children. It lumped Torben in with other so-called radicals.
That's what you read, and you thought he made a movie about himself. That just shows what you think of him.
That's true.
That's the opinion we have of Torben. Like when we see God's Best Children, we think, hey, Torben made another movie about himself.
Christian
I mean,
ministries.
to even go on camera and kind of just say, look, if there are any politicians or anyone with influence or anything that can help my case, you have to have a high opinion of yourself, right?
Right. You have rich friends in high places out there.
Right.
It had serious.
You have so many rich friends, you have to use YouTube to wink and blink and bat your eyes at them like a little Jezebel to get them to call you up with your connections.
Serious moral or ethical failures, or even criminal activity.
When I saw that, I'm like, I'm finished now. No one will trust me again.
Torben watched in horror as he saw himself depicted on national TV as a liar, as an abuser of children, and the
Bible says, rejoice and be glad, Torben. Why are you watching in horror?
And the mentally unstable through healings and so-called exorcisms, and as a quack who takes medicine away from the sick, something he says he's never done.
I've been doing ministry for 18 years. I never had problem. I never had a complaints. Not like, of course, I've been misunderstood.
Torben, your complexion has never looked so smooth. What did they do to you in the back room? Did they like butter you up and powder you up back there?
Misunderstanding. People have maybe got hurt and so on, like every other church and every other ministry. But when these programs started, it just changed the whole atmosphere in Denmark. We were like, we need to leave Denmark. This is not going to stop.
It didn't.
So he was judge and jury. The news mocked me. We need to leave Denmark. This is not going to stop. Because I know the future, because I'm Pope Torben. Because obviously, right, the news media was never going to stop doing shows on Torben Sondergaard. Never. It was going to go on for eternity. Year after year, decade after decade. They were, according to Torben, they were just going to keep highlighting him because he's so special.
Torben became a punching bag on Danish TV as guests on news shows pushed for a new law against.
Guests on news shows pushed for a new law. Notice CBN? Notice CBN couldn't come up with any actual law, like and give you the number or anything that limited Torben's ability to minister. Why isn't CBN giving us a law, Sondergaard followers? Guests on news shows pushed. Let me quote that again. This is why he deserves to become a U.S. citizen. Because guests on news shows pushed for a new law. Pushed. Didn't get it. They didn't succeed.
Against Christians who allegedly inflicted mental violence on children through healings and deliverance.
And then they interviewed a state church priest talking about that we were the evil people coming as a predator to find the weak animals who were sick and eat them, and how we wanted to take people into the cult.
Then the demands grew in the media for Torben to be investigated for the crime of quackery.
And I just saw there that I was already guilty in the mind of the politician. I was already guilty in the mind of the people for something I had nothing to do with.
Torben was now a marked man, viewed as a dangerous
person. Look at him. This is my favorite part. It's my favorite part. Where they actually get old Torby boy to do a little acting on the bench. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him.
Torben was now a marked man, viewed as a dangerous person by many of his countrymen, worried that he would lose his children.
Because holy Torben, while this persecuting was going on, all he did was sit on park benches in Denmark reading his Bible, looking up to God. That's all he did. He got persecuted and he just sat there like Mr. Rogers with his Bible, looking up. Help me, Lord. I'm such a holy man. I'm going to sit here and read my Bible until the food inspectors stop inspecting me. I'm going to sit here and read my Bible until people stop trying to mock me on the news. Because you could pull me through this vicious persecution, God.
We have people starting to call us. Say that you have to leave Denmark now.
More phantom people. People called him. People.
Because they're not going to stop. They want to continue getting you down.
They want to continue getting you down. Not killing you. Not persecuting you with religious persecution where you can't operate. They just want to get your feelings hurt a little bit. They want to get you down.
So we bought a ticket to America. And 2 days later, we had packed 8 suitcases.
You forgot to tell them that you had to have a return flight and you had to lie to our government to do that. You forgot to mention that on CBN, Torben, that you needed to have a return flight to use that visa waiver. Why didn't you put that on TBN, Torben? Or CBN, whatever this is.
And we left with our kids to America. And and it was very stressful.
Didn't look stressful in the videos we saw. You smiling. You just arrived in the U.S. You had plans to go to Australia, Canada. You said this was like a dream.
In many ways, a dream come true, and it was very stressful. In many ways, a dream come true, and it was very stressful.
You received $50,000. Yeah, it was very stressful.
And we have an event in Canada in April, and we then thought about going home and then come here later. And now our center is closed.
Does that sound like he flew in fear? He flew over here in fear? Remember he thought about going back home after he got here again? Remember that? The first 3 days after he came, he said, we thought about even going back home.
It's honestly,
80,000
He missed the persecution.
80,000 square feet center in Denmark is closed down. Our work is closed down. Everything is closed down.
The Sondergaards have appealed to the U.S. government for political asylum. Torben has testified in a sworn affidavit that if he is returned to Denmark, he risks being imprisoned and having his minor daughter removed from their family.
We all, as deliverance ministers, risk that. In every country, everywhere.
And we have an event in Canada in April. And we then thought about going home and then come here later.
Danish press agency has ruled that Torben was misled by the journalist who made the documentary.
Danish press ruled that he was misled and apologized. Why is he playing the victim? The food people didn't fine him. The press people apologized. What is this coward doing here? Does anyone ask these questions? Just listen to this.
Danish press agency has ruled that Torben was misled by the journalist who made the documentary.
Okay, no harm, no foul. Get out of your emotions, Torben, and go back to Denmark. You're doing things that you know most people don't believe in, like casting out demons and all that.
But there's no government agency in Denmark that can give Torben his reputation back or guarantee his freedom if he returns.
So what they need to do for him to return, they need to guarantee that they'll never arrest him, which nobody has that guarantee in any country anywhere, right? And they got to give him his reputation back because the little baby thinks he deserves a nice, loving reputation. Because obviously that's what the Bible teaches, that we're going to have a great reputation on national news among worldly people. So Torben deserves a U.S. citizenship because they can't give him his reputation back.
Torben
now he has a reputation being a deceiver.
See if his asylum request will be approved. And he said he dreams of starting a Jesus center like he had in Denmark here in America.
And I think God showed us that I don't want to have a big center. Not like that. Not in that way.
And he said he dreams of starting a Jesus center like he had in Denmark here in America.
And I think God showed us that I don't want to have a big center. Not like that. Not in that way.
First, he says he doesn't want to have a center in the same way that he had in Denmark. CBN says he dreams of having a center like Denmark. Torben says, I don't want to have a center like that I had in Denmark. CBN says he dreams of having a center like Denmark. You tell me what to make of this fraud. Because he sat there and got the makeup on him and sat on the bench like the little coward that he is. You don't see him saying, hey, wait, I've been telling people I don't want a center like that, CBN. In fact, you know what? Just run the program, telling everybody the exact opposite of what I want. Why? So he could get money. Why did he let CBN put it out? So he could get money. Because he knows a lot of people watching CBN, if they see on CBN that he wants to start a big center, he'll get money.
It worked.
It worked so good that he has no center. So,
He had a lot of money, though.
yeah, he got the money, but there's still no center.
Right.
Where's the money? Because he got another 500 when he got arrested this time. We don't even know how much he got because we know that he got about 400 or 500, but wealthy people send checks. They don't go on give, send, go. They call them up and say, where do I send a $100,000 check? Where do I send 50? Where do I send 10?
Yeah.
Rich people aren't stupid. They're not going to be paying 2% or whatever, different things charge or whatever.
Gail heard CBN News.
Yeah, everyone out there.
All right, here's the next thing in chronological order. Here he is in jail now.
Out there, this is Torben Sondergaard, and I'm talking to you from a prison phone in Baker's County Detention Center, where I'm now being detained for 98 days. And my lawyers, and my legal team still don't know why I'm here. Why was I detained?
That's a lie. They all know why he's there. Did Torben know why he was in jail? YouTube videos pretending to be falsely accused? No. Torben's wife on the Friends of Torben website? Yes, they know why he's in there. Torben's Facebook claiming he's not a flight risk? Yes, they're answering the government's concern that he is a flight risk, showing that they know why he's there, because it's standard practice to arrest illegals that came in here illegally if they're a flight risk. That's why they're on the Facebook saying he's not a flight risk. So his Facebook, they know why he's in there. His wife knows why he's in there. His lawyers definitely know why he's in there, because we're going to show you it's standard practice. And Torben's rep that did an interview yesterday knew exactly why he was in there, that he signed his rights away, he came in on a visa waiver, and he changed his status to an asylum seeker. And it's standard to put them in jail if they're a flight risk. So Torben is a liar. He knows exactly why he's there.
And why did they deny me coming out on a bond? Is there so many crazy?
Because you're a flight risk. Why are you on your Facebook saying that you're not a flight risk if you don't know why they kept you there and denied your bond? I don't know why they denied my bond, everybody. I'm confused. But 2 days earlier on Facebook, I'm not a flight risk. I'm not a flight risk. Does that make any sense? No. Why would anyone that didn't know why they were jailed be claiming over and over again they're not a flight risk?
These things in all of this. I am leader of the Christian ministry, the Last Reformation. I've served God for many years in over 40.
Notice the way he's talking, like he's some tortured for Christ victim in a dungeon.
Nations.
He's not talking like a normal human. He's like, I am Torben Sondergaard. I am in prison. What did prison make you talk different, Johnny? What's wrong? You are an actor. You are a joke. Anyone that believes in you is a joke.
Gospel of Christ and making disciples. But I had never experienced anything like what I am experiencing now. Because of persecution in Denmark from the government, I came to the United States of America 3.
Really? You told us you came to do something in Dallas and then go to Canada, you liar. So now the story's changing again. How many times has it changed? 50 times?
And a half years ago, January 26, 2019, after waiting for my asylum interview for over 3.5 years, I got a letter 3 months ago from Homeland Security that they would like to discuss my immigration status at a meeting in Orlando on June 30. I traveled from California, where I'm now a resident, to Orlando, Florida, to attend the meeting. But to my big surprise, there was nothing about my asylum case. One of them said, okay, the reason you are here is that we have been told you have been smuggling weapons from Mexico to America.
That's a lie.
And I was thinking, what?
He's now accusing the agents of the U.S. government of lying to him. When he knows, Torben knows very well, because people have already been making false reports in Denmark, right? To the food people and everybody. So if an agent, this is this manipulator, right? This deceiver. If people that don't like Torben, that know he's a manipulator for money in the U.S. are making reports to try and jam him up, like people that he's thrown out or whatever, and an agent tells him, we have some reports that said you did this. Do you really think the agent's not going to tell them why he's really arrested and give him an official reason? So what the liar does, what the liar and the manipulator does is, if the ICE agent pulls him in and says you overstayed your visa, and then the ICE agent tells him, we got all kinds of reports on you, that you're a rapist, a gun smuggler, all kinds of whatever people want to call in to get him locked up, right? And none of our people have called anywhere. None of our people have ever called in it, or nor would we. That's in God's hands at that point. But there are people calling in fake stuff on him. And they shouldn't be doing that. And we don't condone that at this ministry. Anybody who's against Torben, if you're calling in fake reports on him, you're a wicked demon. You're going to hell. There's enough here to expose on this fraud to not be calling in fake reports to the U.S. government. But this wicked demon over here, what he'll do is, they'll say you overstayed. That's why we're pulling you in. And by the way, we got all kinds of reports on you. Gun smuggling, drug dealing, rape, any fake report. And this liar, to get money, to appear as a persecuted saint, puts it out that that's the reason they arrested him. You believe that? This fraud puts that out. And then everyone knows he's too effeminate to smuggle guns. See, he found a story that he knows no one will believe about him. When I heard it, I don't even like the guy. And I was like, that little effeminate never smuggled any guns. He doesn't even have the heart and the balls to smuggle guns.
Right.
So I didn't believe it. And Torben knows nobody's going to believe that. So he chose that story. But he knows that's not him and his lawyers know that's not the reason he was picked up.
For sure.
They know it for sure. But it sure is a great way to bring in $400,000.
Women, I know nothing about women or smuggling women. My only connection to Mexico is a small missionary training school we launched in Rosarito. And the only thing we brought over the border back to America were beautiful testimonies about what God did in Mexico. But we had nothing to do with smuggling women. And I don't know anyone had anything to do with smuggling women. I have never traveled to Mexico, and I've never crossed the border from the United States to Mexico. And my passport shows the proof of that. A few minutes later, one said, "You are not going home today. We are detaining you." And then he was just up against the wall, handcuffs on, and now I'm still staying alone in a cell 8 times 13 feet. I really thought in the beginning that I would go out in a few days because I have not.
8 times 13. My bedroom is 10 foot by 10 foot. I think it's the same square footage.
Smuggling women are not
8 by 13.
criminal.
Dude, his prison cell's bigger than my bedroom.
I was sure that the whole thing would just fall to the ground very soon. There is no criminal case against me at all.
Yes, you're aware of that. There's no. You got arrested for overstaying, coming in on a visa waiver. No one ever said there was a criminal case on you, but guess who? You. What are you, refuting your own self? You put it out you were arrested for gun smuggling. You believe this guy? He puts it out that he's arrested for a criminal thing, and then he pretends like we all believe it was a criminal thing, and then he says I wasn't, then he corrects himself that it's not a criminal thing. It's schizophrenic.
It's ridiculous.
This guy is such a deceiving manipulator, it's unbelievable.
But I'm still here.
Correct.
I'm still locked up away from my family.
This covert narcissistic manipulator is just, it's just unbelievable.
It's very that actually says that open words will condemn you. I think that,
Yeah.
like,
By
this
your
is like
words,
the-
you'll be justified, and by your words, you'll be condemned.
Right.
And I don't know
36,
why
37.
I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for my asylum case to go to court, which can take many months. And why did
You know exactly why you're there. Your wife detailed it in detail on your website.
they deny me coming out on a bond when I'm seeing so many other people in here go out on a bond? I've been locked up with people who came from prison. When they have been in prison for 25 years for murder, people have done very bad things. For me, Jesus
Like
transformed my life 27 years ago. I've been married with the same.
You not taking accountability for the things that you've taken all the saints' money for is way worse than being a murderer, buddy. And you're gonna
I think so.
find that out shortly. Because when you take God's people's money on your stupid little fantasies, your little fantasy Jesus centers, and you don't stay put until they become a success and they collapse and you leave everyone's money on the floor, you are going to be praying that you murdered people when you face God.
Woman for 25 years. I have 3 kids and 3 beautiful grandkids. I have never been charged of anything criminal. I have never taken any drugs.
No one ever said you did, you fraud. Stop pretending that people did say you did.
And I'm not a danger to anyone, but I'm still here. Why? Please help me out there to spread this video. Make people aware of this so I can get help to come out and be with my family. A new website has been made called friendsoftalk.com.
The funny thing is, if anyone who went straight to that website would see that his wife told everyone why he was there. that he was being detained until his asylum case, like everybody else. And just to prove it, right here is the Friends of Torben website. And it says, again, they're defending against him not being a flight risk. Look. And Torben is not a flight risk. On the contrary, well, what are you defending against if you don't know why he's there?
Right.
Did they tell you he was a flight risk, or did you just wake up one morning and decide to argue against him not being a flight risk? Or argue against him being a flight risk, I should say. Look at this. On usimmigrationbonds.com, it says it's normal. The immigrants will be held in a mandatory detainment until their case concludes in court. It's standard practice. It's standard practice. They're pretending they don't know. Look, it says he faced persistent and vicious persecution from the food inspectors going there and giving him no fine. From the Danish media making a video and doing the wrong thing and then apologizing. Persistent and vicious persecution. Here's that interview with his rep 2 days ago.
And they ended up publishing a documentary, a 3-part documentary series in partnership with a Danish government-owned television station. So the Danish government participated in this. And that documentary ended up being a horrible hit.
So a Danish government-owned television station apologized. So the Danish government apologized to him.
Hit piece. Torben is presented to be, he's presented along other pastors that were, convicted of crimes and were found to be corrupt and abusers. It was very, very dishonest and very hurtful for Torben, both personally and, of course, for his reputation. Torben immediately went and appealed to sort of a media association, and they made that documentary company issue an apology.
Did you hear that? Even he's saying it. Even he's saying it. They apologized.
My understanding is that apology was issued. It was done in a way where, maybe it was at a time on TV where nobody was watching. I'm not really sure. But that really was the catalyst for a campaign, a very coordinated campaign that clearly was pre-planned and pre-arranged, because as soon as that first segment aired, the next on that nightly news was the panel of human rights experts and, people that were speaking out against Torben. And for the very first time, the phrase mental violence started getting used in Denmark.
Wow.
The phrase mental violence started to get used in Denmark. Let's give Torben's whole family U.S. citizenship. Obviously, one equals the other. The phrase mental violence is starting to be used in Denmark equals the Sondergaard family deserves hundreds of thousands of dollars to travel to USA and permanent citizenship.
And very quickly, it evolved into even lawmakers in parliament in Denmark referencing Torben Sondergaard, referencing the documentary as proof that they needed to amend certain laws.
They referenced him to try to amend laws and never even amended one that is focused on religion. They amended laws that are broad scale. Don't abuse children. Don't do this or that. Nothing that is really involved with Christianity.
Laws limiting the ability for pastors to pray for children and to cast out demons. Even lawmakers in parliament in Denmark referencing Torben Sondergaard, referencing the documentary as proof that they needed to amend certain laws.
So he said they considered and they tried. Torben says they did.
And when the law came out, I have the law here from the Danish parliament. This is the law. And Denmark is a very secular country where and just the whole thing that we have demons written in the laws now. Like we don't believe in deliverance. They don't believe in God at all. And then it's written down.
Even lawmakers in parliament in Denmark referencing Torben Sondergaard, referencing the documentary as proof that they needed to amend certain laws.
And when the law came out, I have the law. Yep.
The point is, everybody, is it a law or a proposal to change a law? You got one guy, Torben, saying it's a law, everyone else saying it's a proposal.
Yeah, from the Danish parliament, this is the law. We have demons written in the laws now.
So that's a liar. Someone find me a law in Denmark with demons written in the law. Go ahead, listen to the liar, the willful liar and manipulator, Torben Sondergaard. Look, someone send it to me. Sondergaard follower, put it in my email. Listen to your leader.
We have demons written in the laws now. We have demons written in the laws now. Like we don't believe in deliverance. They don't believe in God at all, and then it's written down.
All right, Tris, can you read that?
It is evident that Torben Sondergaard knowingly and intentionally provides false information to the US government in an attempt to gain status as a refugee and win immigration benefits in the United States. Firstly, Torben Sondergaard knowingly misleads officials by referring to a law that protects children and mentally ill against repeated psychological abuse. The law from the Danish Criminal Code 5243 reads as follows. Anyone who belongs to or is closely related to another's household or has previously had such a connection with the household and who repeatedly exposes another to grossly degrading, abusive or degrading behavior with the purpose to unjustifiable, indecently, inappropriately control the other is punished for mental violence by fine or imprisonment for up to 3 years. The law contains no restriction on religious freedom. This is evident as not a single other person in the entire nation of Denmark has put forth the same claim of religious persecution.
All that is on that same article on TLR Truth. So you could see that Torben's an epic liar and an intentional manipulator.
And so you can imagine how scary, traumatizing, surreal this was for Torben, for his ministry. And he did his best to defend himself. He, handled it with integrity. He was, offered a national platform to actually, ironically, teach about deliverance ministry and talk about what Jesus said. But unfortunately, it didn't stop there. There are a number of documented instances where government agencies, the fire department, the IRS, Child Protective Services started harassing Torben, his family, and the ministry. They would show up and say, we've been told that you guys aren't up to fire code. They came to his house and knocked on the door and said, we need to talk to your daughter. We have reason to believe that she's being abused.
I saw this. They were saying that they thought that she was anorexic, and they kept coming after them.
Yeah,
and schooling at the time, which was not very, not something that many people do in Denmark. So they put her into a regular Christian school, and they still kept pursuing and harassing him over her mental or her physical mental health.
Correct. Yeah, and meanwhile, every single one of these kind of mini investigations result in, that they didn't find that there had been anything, there was no wrongdoing.
Here's another guy saying they found nothing and they left him alone.
Doing on behalf of Torben in his ministry, every single one of these kind of mini investigations.
Really, all they're doing is doing their job. They're just following up on the complaints they're getting. So, to anyone working his asylum case, it's not his government attacking him, it's his own ministry members that he threw out that are buzzing around like they do here, causing trouble, attacking the place after they're thrown out.
Result in, that they didn't find that there had been anything, there was no wrongdoing on behalf of Torben in his ministry. Meanwhile, he's being attacked in the media. There are, parliamentary sessions happening where his name is being mentioned. There was actually a draft of
his name's being mentioned
of an amended law that started to be circulated and was, held up in the air by a legislature in the Danish parliament. And finally, Torben, he received a phone call from somebody who he trusted and said, you need to get out.
Somebody. All this needs to be kept secret, obviously. We can't reveal who it is. Why? Well, there's no reason why. Why aren't they telling us who this somebody is?
To get out of here, they're not going to stop until they figure out a way to imprison you. So him and his wife made a very hard decision. They packed 8 bags, 8 pieces of luggage, and came to the United States. They came to the U.S. on what's called a visa waiver. Denmark is considered, what's considered a low-risk country, so they didn't have to go to an embassy and apply for a visa. A visa waiver is essentially for nations where, we have a good relationship and citizens tend to not come to the United States to try to, stay here, illegally. So they came on a visa waiver in January of 2019. Okay. And this is quite an incredible story that I'm about to share. About 2 months in...
So he just said they came on a visa waiver. CBN says they came to seek asylum.
Into them being here, Torben felt that the Holy Spirit told him to check on the status of their visa waiver. So he woke up one morning, logged into the website, and saw that their visa waiver had been canceled 2 days before. Without explanation. That's very, very uncommon for someone to have their visa waiver canceled. At that point, and the U.S. immigration authorities had his email, they had his phone number. No one notified him. And he, at that point, did the right thing. He contacted an immigration attorney. At the time, they were living in Florida, and they hired an immigration attorney to help them discern and navigate the situation. And after, her learning about what they had dealt with in Denmark and them considering their options, they decided to file for asylum. Here in the...
Wow, all of a sudden. How convenient. Even though every lawyer in the U.S. advises someone looking to play the system to last minute change their status, so it didn't look like they were planning it the whole time.
Here in the United States. One of the pieces of misinformation that seems to be circulating is that...
However, we've already proven that he was planning to stay here the whole time in those original videos, so it's over, Torben.
That Torben and his family came here to seek asylum. That's not true. They came to get away from Denmark, take a breather, pray, discern, and figure out what was going to be next. It was when...
Well, if they just came to take a breather, there was no real danger. So you can think you're helping them, genius, right now by saying that, to make it look like he didn't intentionally lie to our government. But what you don't realize is, in your attempt to help him, you're proving he doesn't really think his life is in danger, you ignoramus.
No.
When their visa was canceled, their waiver was canceled, that they, decided to go ahead and file for asylum. They filed for asylum within that 90-day time limit.
How convenient.
And at that point, asylum seekers are not given legal status, so they don't become an automatic resident, they don't get citizenship, but there's sort of an unspoken understanding that while your application for asylum is pending, you won't be deported.
If you leave the country. So that's a really difficult situation.
Correct. And they didn't leave. In fact, they were very diligent. They're very conservative in the way that they handled their corporate structure, their finances.
What does that mean? They're very conservative.
They got social security numbers. They got work permits. They hired...
What he's trying to say is they covered all their bases. Don't worry.
Right.
Hired a very reputable tax firm here in the United States, which also represents a lot of the big Christian international ministries. A lot of them are household names that I won't mention.
Really? Maybe he's got Andrew Womack's tax guy. Maybe he's got old Kenny Copeland's attorney. He's hit the big time now.
And that tax firm registered a 501c3, and they started legally operating their ministry here in the United States. He did not receive his work permit until 2020. So even though their ministry was incorporated in 2019 and did have activity, he did not take a salary in 2019 because he didn't have a legal permit to work. Some people online have pointed to the fact...
I wonder who ran TLR in 2019.
Fact that he didn't declare a salary in 2019 and are, insinuating that he was avoiding paying taxes, which is just categorically false. So during COVID, he actually visited 40 states, and he would continue to do what he did in Denmark and in Europe and other countries in the Middle East and in Africa. He would do these kickstarts. They would show up and host these events. They would, teach and do impartations, sort of discipleship making method. And they lived for a time in Florida. They were residents in North Carolina for a time. We're just continuing to do what they did. And in early June of this year, he received a letter from the Department of Homeland Security asking him to come attend a meeting to discuss, quote unquote, his immigration status. And he, at the time, was in California. He flew to Orlando, voluntarily attended that meeting. And it was in that meeting that he was actually handcuffed and arrested by an officer from the Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement Agency. And that officer told Torben that he was being detained because they were informed he was trafficking weapons from Mexico.
Wow. Now, where would that come from? I mean, why is that's like left field?
That is a massive lie. Dude, this is not like Guadalajara, Mexico. This is the United States. Agents can't arrest people and give a false reason. Just lie to people.
For Torben's life, why would that be the accusation?
Give us the agent's name.
We honestly, at the time, Torben was disoriented. This was absurd. He, obviously denied that.
All right, he was disoriented. So why are we going to believe anything?
That that he was a weapons trafficker, and he told his wife what this officer had told him when he was handcuffed, and they were used to sharing everything online. So they made a Facebook post about it. That Facebook post got shared, reposted, it got picked up in the media, and so the narrative initially was that he had.
Because that's a smart thing to do, right? You just got arrested and you got to shoot it out on Facebook with anything someone mentions to you.
He had been detained on weapons smuggling. He was being charged with weapons smuggling. Yeah. So, when I was brought on board to start kind of clarifying some of these misunderstandings, I was surprised to find out that Torben Sondergaard was actually not being charged with any crimes. He hasn't been indicted with any crimes. And in fact, weapons smuggling doesn't appear on any sort of official documentation. The official reason that's being given for his detention is called non-immigrant overstay. They're claiming that because he overstayed 90 days of that initial waiver period, that he was in violation of his immigration contract, and so that's the reason they're detaining him. However, we know that's not honest. That's not true. Number one, why would they wait 3 years to detain him?
Well, maybe because of COVID, genius. Did you forget about the worldwide pandemic?
They've always known where he is. They've always had his contact information. Why wait 3 years? And why not detain the rest of his family, who also would, obviously be in violation of the same thing?
Because they didn't show up to the meeting. He did. They knew if they called them all to the meeting that it would look suspicious. So they just called him so he could turn himself in. So they don't got to send the guys out to hunt them down.
We were able to assemble a legal team, and we're able to determine.
If he's nonviolent and our government has a policy that they have to get these guys to turn themselves in, and they're allowed to lie to get them to show up to a meeting and just arrest them, but they're not allowed to spend our government's money to go hunt them down, then they did what they had to do, what they were authorized to do.
Determined that, in fact, multiple law enforcement agencies in the United States were given multiple false tips about Torben, ranging from him being a scammer to a child abuser to weapons smuggling across state lines. He's even been accused, there was even a false tip that came in saying that he was a human trafficker. All of these things are literally written in documents.
Really? Why didn't he present that one? Sounds like he had a whole pile of stuff to pick from. Gun smuggling seemed nice. It wasn't perverted or anything. It made him seem kind of like a Wild West cowboy, maybe.
That are, in the files of U.S. law enforcement.
Now, this is a concerted effort, obviously. So who on your team has met with law enforcement to talk to them about these kinds of accusations? And, obviously anybody can make an accusation about anything, but these guys are discerning enough, typically to find out quickly if these are true or not, what's been happening in their investigation.
That's really the part about this case that is so alarming.
The answer is nobody, because he has no rights. So our government doesn't need to talk to his attorney. He's here illegally.
It's we actually that really is the part that's scary, to be honest. Because
the part that's scary is people sent him hundreds of thousands of dollars for attorneys that our government doesn't even need to talk to.
Because anybody who takes an honest look at this story will see that there is zero evidence. There's not one shred of evidence to support any of these allegations against Torben.
Wow.
What makes it unique is because he's not being charged with any crimes, what ICE is doing is they're leveraging alleged crimes to push him into the deportation.
That's a lie.
Pipeline just to try to get him out of the country. And so, our response to law enforcement has been, if you have evidence that he committed a crime, then you should charge him with a crime. It's very unrare for someone with a pending asylum application to be detained without being charged with a crime.
It's very rare. That was a misspeak.
Very common.
What?
Is that what he's trying to say?
No, he means it's very rare, but he doesn't know how to talk. So he said it's very rare because he wants to make it like he doesn't know how to talk. What he meant is it's very rare for them to detain someone like this. Because if he said it's very rare, he'd be admitting Torben's being treated like every other illegal that ever came through there. But the fact remains, look at this. It isn't rare. Look.
To me, that's the disingenuous lawyer spin.
Right. It isn't rare. They're lying.
Right.
They do this to everyone that seeks asylum's got to stay in jail till the case. If they catch you. Now let's see if we would do this, because we were mocked on the news. Let's see.
Next one, this anti-masturbation vlogger. When you have a favorite porn star and you think of her in your head, there's a demon in the spirit realm assigned, a principality or a ruler assigned to that actress.
And I say, these demons are the only father figures these actresses ever had.
Why are they laughing at me? I'm leaving BDS. I'm leaving. I'm fleeing Nazi. I'm fleeing Nazi United States. I'm going to Denmark.
In Austin, Texas, wanted to go to Starbucks, and then he realized
here's them mocking everyone that lived in my house in Austin.
Something really strange was happening.
On the Young Turks.
In fact, he caught it all on video. Take a look.
No. Okay, so I'm going to check out the exorcism now.
By the blood of Jesus Christ, you have to leave. We lose love. We lose the love of Jesus. We surround this man of sin.
They fill him up with the love of Jesus Christ.
That's later.
Why are they mocking us? We're leaving Texas.
So when they were saying you have no legal authority to be here, you're trespassing, were they talking to the guy videotaping or were they talking to Satan? Satan, literally.
Oh, I love, Satan's going to be like, oh, you caught me on that. You're right, I'm in violation of Rule 12.
I'm on probation.
Oh, my God. I didn't know you were going to...
Why don't they favor what we're doing on secular television, Tris? Why are they laughing at this and mocking it and making me feel bad? Why are they making me feel bad, man? You handle it from here. I'm out of here. I know I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars of other people's money on this place, but I'm leaving.
So we'll start
legal authority to me, my bad. He's like, I'm gonna help this brother out in a second, but you got to get the right combination.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the little 21 to the left, 14 to the right.
Yes.
Okay, all right, come here. I gotta bug you. Say.
So it's all voodoo. Okay, so they're doing Christian voodoo.
All right, that's it. They called what we do voodoo. Get my kids and pack them in the car. The whole family needs to go now.
Right,
Can we get 8 suitcases? We can manage with 8.
That's all there is.
I guess I sometimes feel the need to do this. Do we believe that this is real? Yeah.
So people are questioning whether
Torben will tell you, this is real. This is real. Casting out demons is real. You don't believe it's real?
whether or not it's real.
That would really offend Torben. Do we believe this is real? He'd be like, I said this is real 5,000 times. It's a catchphrase for my movie.
It's real. There's a possibility that it could be fake. It was posted on Reddit. And the guy who posted it says, no, this is absolutely 100% real. I was watching it for a while before I filmed it. Look, I don't know whether or not it's real.
Austin's not a super religious.
Yeah.
No.
Certainly,
But look, just yesterday I called out a fake video, and we were totally right about it. So we could be wrong, right? Yeah. But we've been in this business a while. That looked totally real to me. And
why would you do it outside of Starbucks?
Because
and the guy was spitting up. I think they had a drunk friend, and they were like, "Let's play a joke on him."
Again, look, I'm taking the guy's word, but the guy who filmed it said he saw this for a while, and it didn't tape it for 10 minutes, and then he's like, "Wow, this is." We just now have him on camera, and we can look and go, "Really? People are this crazy?" And the answer is yes.
Why are they calling us crazy? And here's somebody that we caught investigating our property that we didn't authorize. You know, everybody, we caught this guy taking pictures of our property while we weren't here. He came over here. This is like our food inspector, this creepy man over here. Here he's snapping photos, snooping around, right? Was that you snooping around our property?
Looking for Chris. I couldn't find him. I saw that he had a light that was burning that was taking about a kilowatt or more an hour, and I turned off the light and I left.
Really? Did you go?
He had everything covered with surveillance cameras, and so he's blaming me for mistreating him to try to come see him and talk with him.
Really? Did you snoop in our visitor center and fidget around with stuff on the windowsill too? Or did you just shut the light out? Because remember, I got surveillance cameras everywhere.
Whatever your surveillance camera showed was that I came to a place where people speak. I blew the horn, nobody reacted. I turned around and I walked up to the building and I turned the light out and I left.
You want me to go in your house and turn the lights out when I feel like it?
Why not? If you feel like that I'm being damaged.
Well, then give me a key to your house so I can go in when I want.
I didn't ask you for a key.
Well, you certainly went in. Do you consider sneaking on someone's property, taking photos, entering their building, and touching all their building supplies sneaky? Dude, I think I could make an asylum case out of this, guys. Mocked on Comedy Central, on national TV. A lot more people viewed that than Denmark stuff. Mocked on Young Turks. The whole ministry that we had, every single person in that picture lived in my personal apartment. That was in that video, except the weird guy sitting in the back. He didn't live there. And dude, we got a guy creeping around, coming unannounced, taking pictures, acting weird, snooping around the property, spying out the liberty we have in Christ. Look, this is a conspiracy. The different things are happening. People came. Cars came. Things happened. Something happened.
Things happened.
Laws were passed in our country this year. Laws were passed in our country this year. I got to get asylum in Denmark. That's it. It's over. I'm packing up Jaden, Alana, Liana, Simeon, all of them.
Take 8 bags is proper persecution, and that is.
I'm packing up Sophia. I'm packing up Sharda. We're going to take up 1 bag per person almost. 8 bags. A bag per person we're taking. Is that fair?
Bon voyage.
I think that's it, everybody. If you want to keep following Torben, you're a moron. We've proved him to be a manipulator and a liar playing the system in the USA. Have a nice day.